I don't know when, I don't know how, but I'm back on my bullshit starting right now.
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy. And the nerd world is having a totally normal one today as we record our episode with Halloween 3, Season of the Witch in the main event. We are the Magnitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hey everyone. It's funny, Matt. I was thinking about how last week, you made the silly joke about how what are we going to talk about because we had so much Marvel stuff to talk about out of Comic-Con, and this week it's what are we going to talk about? But it's like it's like the opposite. Instead of being stuff we're excited for, it's just like watching a studio like melt down before
it's just
our eyes.
An entire streaming service like crumbling into dust before our eyes, and projects we were excited about vanishing, and
Yes.
And us also being worried about things that we actually do care about on the streaming service not returning, even though they said they'd return, because nothing matters.
Apparently that doesn't mean shit.
It doesn't mean anything at this point. Nothing's safe. No one's safe. How are you?
No one's safe. That's what we want you to take away from this podcast.
Yes, we all die alone and afraid, and that's the takeaway for this episode, where we're going to spend a lot of time talking about what's going on over at the Warner Discovery merger, but also HBO Max, and basically kind of the shuttering of what has become one of the best, if not the best, streaming services, especially in the wake of sort of all the woes that Netflix has been going through right now.
Well, I mean, yeah, shuttering might be too harsh.
Shuttering of
not.
Original content. Shuttering of scripted content.
It's still hard to know exactly.
Eric, let me get my shuttering line in.
All right.
Let me get all doom and gloom here and say it's over, and RIP HBO Max. No. So we are recording this on Wednesday evening after big shitty news about Batgirl broke. Or was that yesterday? That was yesterday.
Batgirl was yesterday.
That was yesterday.
But then it became like a rolling ball of shit with more coming out today.
And so we'll be discussing that, but then also tomorrow there's going to be a call which we will learn more about what's going on, and if something huge happens that we need to sort of tack onto this, we'll add it to the end, because also tomorrow we will be recording the main event because we have a special guest. Isn't that right, Eric?
Yeah, our friend Dorina from the World Girls podcast is joining us to talk about Halloween 3. So we're recording this in two different halves, but that does give us the opportunity, if that Warner Brothers Discovery call, quarterly earnings call, if something like seismic comes out of it, we can add that on. If not, if it's just some general shittiness, we'll talk about it next week. So we've got options.
General, we'll have to weigh how shitty it is. Just like the level of atrocity that occurs. Okay, so this all sort of broke down. This has sort of been in the works for a little while, as far as like things on the Turner stations getting canceled, like Samantha Bee, and the sort of the staggering death of the Arrowverse over on the CW. And there's been ripples in the pond already. And then yesterday,
and a big one I don't think we talked about, but it is important now, especially now it's more important, is them pulling the plug on the Wonder Twins movie, apparently just a few weeks out from production.
Yeah,
that was going to be made for HBO. I don't think
probably
we did.
Not,
yeah.
And so Batgirl, Eric, do you think Batgirl is getting pulled out from under us? It won't see the light of day because I was confused about the cast of this movie forever and kept thinking Jeffrey Wright was in it,
because you
not
kept
J.K.
saying
Simmons.
Jeffrey Wright.
I kept pulling the wrong Commissioner Gordon. Do you think that's why they're doing this?
Yes,
to us?
Because they're looking at all responses all across
They're like,
net.
obviously this movie's too confusing.
And the one that really stood out was every week on this podcast, on the We Enjoy podcast, one of their hosts keeps not understanding which Commissioner Gordon we have in our movie. So you know what? Fuck it. $90 million. I don't want Matt Fowler confused.
David
Zaslav thought he was helping you, is the point here.
You know what? And I appreciate that, honestly.
Oh, you're pro Zaslav.
Yeah, now I'm in Camp Zaslav. Which
That's a lovely
definitely
camp.
is the mean, horrible rival summer camp across the lake that always wins the games.
I was thinking how you very, very rarely are doing something great if you are a studio corporate executive who everyone is starting to learn their name. It's rarely because everyone's like, well, what a great job.
Eric, is he one of these like, I'm a disruptor. I'm here to make the hard calls. I'm a genius. I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to be creative. Is he one of those types?
I mean, just again, for people who don't know, the broad strokes of this, Warner Brothers and Discovery merged a few months ago, and their new head of it all, David Zaslav, comes from the Discovery side. Yeah. Of course, these strange things happen with these mergers and who's going to stay, who's going to go. And so Zaslav did not come from the Warner Brothers side. He came from the Discovery side. And it was clear already that he was unhappy with decisions made. And we'll talk about how I don't disagree with everything he didn't like that they were doing. This is definitely
who's in Camp Zaslav.
This is definitely the wrecking ball approach as far as like, we're gonna pivot away versus like, I will fucking just wipe it off the earth. I will literally not let you see what they did.
So here's the thing. I'd like to think I'm a little hardened in this business. You and I have been doing this a while, but also where the age we're at, where we come from an era where we didn't get things we wanted, and we didn't, so you and I have already seen like countless miracles of beloved properties that we absolutely adore come back to our lives that we never thought we'd see again. We've been given so much, so we feel like losing things is sort of part of the game, especially in this business of show emphasis on business. But the time and the energy and the passion that went into something like Batgirl, and the casting and being told that you are a new superhero who means so much to so many people, and putting in the performance, and so many people work so hard on this movie, and for them to sort of and basically cancel it and remove it from being completed. I'm assuming it's sort of like 4/5 completed at this point.
Well, it's being edited, and it was being edited, and of course it didn't have complete effects. But I mean, Matt's pretty much said, and I'm sure most of you already know what we're talking about. But yes, that the Batgirl movie, which has been filmed, which has done, production is finished on, will never be finished and never be released, as far as we know right now. It is just going to not happen at all. It was supposed to be for HBO Max. People wondered maybe they'll switch it to theatrical. Instead, they switched it to nothing.
Yeah, suddenly switched it to an alternate dimension where everything goes to die. I feel like, so that's Leslie Grace, J.K. Simmons, Brendan Fraser. Who else was in that movie?
Michael Keaton has Batman.
That's right. So this is a big interesting thing, because the Flash movie is already in absolute turmoil. And this was the movie that was going to multiverse the DC.
It's in turmoil, because of its lead actor, what he's doing and what's happening in real life versus, the movie. Supposedly, the Flash people were happy with, but again, who knows?
It's already been bumped till next summer. But this was the movie that was introducing the multiverse, which not only had Ben Affleck as Batman, but also the return of Michael Keaton, specifically the Batman he played in the two Tim Burton movies. And he was coming in as an alternate Batman, much like we saw with the Spider-Man in No Way Home. Mm-hmm. But he was also sticking around because he was going to be in Batgirl. So they've already now removed from existence the follow-up Michael Keaton movie. And by the way, I don't mean this in any way that Michael Keaton is old and senile and doesn't pay attention, but he has gone on record saying that not only does he not watch the superhero movies or pay attention to the various universes, but also, I know when he was filming Morbius and someone tried to explain to him how this fit together with his other persona, with his other portrayal, and he didn't understand it, and he didn't care. It was just sort of one of those actors like Gwyneth Paltrow, who's really good, comes in and does his scenes, but doesn't care about doesn't exactly maybe know what movie he's in or how it fits into the larger puzzle of the the tapestry of what we care about. He doesn't care about that. He comes in and
Michael Keaton was not asking, but how can I be interacting with Morbius when I'm in the MCU? This is not.
But my point is that if this movie never comes out and then The Flash, something happens to that, and then he's filmed all this stuff as alternate Batman, and it never comes out. A, will he know? B, will he? If he knows, does he care? Like, it doesn't really matter to him.
I assume the only reason he'll know is because he won't have to do press tours.
Yes, it's like, shouldn't I be doing a red carpet for something about now? No, don't worry about
it. Yeah, so this is absolutely fucking crazy. I don't know, Matt, if you were kind of following in real time as this news broke on Twitter.
Well, I remember it was New York Post that broke it.
And it was
first.
the New York Post who got it first. New York Post, of course, is a tabloid. Now, they're not National Enquirer level tabloid, but they're a shitty...
Were they the Jacko on his backo, or was that the Daily News?
They are a tabloid. They're sensationalistic. And so their story, which was all framed about this movie, Batgirl is terrible, unreleasable. They're not going to release it, which not only was kind of pushing a very specific angle, and you can talk about who leaked that to them and knew that they'd go with that, but also had factual errors in it. Or just things that were just like, in factual error, it said the Batman was rated R, and they called it like that it did okay when Batman was a big hit, and it wasn't rated R. And it mentioned, you could tell that they weren't happy with Batgirl because they didn't talk about it at all at Comic-Con, which was ridiculous because at Comic-Con, they only talked about Shazam and Black Adam. They didn't talk about anything. They didn't talk about Aquaman or The Flash or Blue Beetle or, Peacemaker season 2. So to act like that meant something bad about Batgirl was ridiculous. And I tweeted, I pointed that out. And then I also was like, there's no way they're not releasing this movie. Like, it just unfathomable.
Because first of all, if Hollywood deemed bad movies unreleasable, we wouldn't have 70% of our movies.
No.
And especially a bad superhero movie. I mean,
right. Because within the hour, all the trades picked it up and it turned out it was true. And a lot of the initial responses were, well, then it must be really bad. And I'm like, that's not the reason.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I saw Wonder Woman 84. They will release things.
I mean, Warner Brothers alone. Yeah, that does not matter. And if they thought this is terrible, then, especially because it was already meant for HBO Max, there's the Netflix approach. I guess they're trying to change that, but just drop it there. Don't promote it.
By the way, this was part of the Snyderverse, technically. Where's the Snyderverse movement when we need them? Where's the weaponized, bot-heavy Snyderverse?
It's so specific, Matt, because when I pointed out that, this movie had J.K. Simmons, though Matt Fowler refused to acknowledge it, this movie had J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon, so it had an actor cast by Snyder in it. People were like, yeah, but he wasn't interacting with Ben Affleck. It's like there's specifics for what they will deem Snyderverse worthy.
I mean, the real reason is because it's a Batgirl movie. That's wrong.
Yeah, I know. There's a million things, but it's crazy. Like, this is unprecedented because, a million bad movies get released, a million bad movies get big promotion, and some bad movies kind of get buried and they put the minimal money into it because they don't think it's worth it. The fact that this is going to be $90 million, they said, it was supposed to be like 70 or 80. It went more because of COVID. But $90 million just thrown away. And with these people that we've just mentioned, the directors were coming off Bad Boys for Life, a huge hit movie. They directed the pilot in the last episode of Miss Marvel. I bet they're probably thinking they should go back to Kevin Feige about now. And then the cast and the fact that Keaton is in it, it's crazy that they're just going to be like, no.
And, sometimes Eric does a little physical media corner here. So there's in our year of our Lord 2022, sort of like physical media, there's a waste element to it. There's also a space element, and not a lot of people have the room to keep physical media. Sure. But there's a environmental impact of physical media. But in these cases, I'm not saying everyone needs to own it in their home, but it should be somewhere. Someone should have a physical copy of everything. And I saw you retweeted something that I also noticed.
The creator of Dickinson, yeah,
on Apple TV Plus, which is basically, her tweet went, the Batgirl HBO Max situation is why I spent the last day on set of Dickinson calling an exec at Apple and begging for a physical recording of my show. They actually gave me one, and I have the only copy. People said I was crazy. That's 10 years of my life.
Right.
So at this point, it's kind of like the blessing and the curse of digital, everything being ethereal and not, something you can put your hands on, is that it could just be taken away from you. It can never be shown. People can pull things off of their platforms and never air them. There's already cases of like TV seasons not having full, complete seasons and episodes missing that only people who have the DVDs or Blu-rays have, because if these things go to a streaming platform, they can be pulled. It's crazy. I feel terrible for everyone involved as far as like all the work that went into. Again, imagine you're being told you're going to be sort of a influential legacy character in the DC comics and DC universe, and how much that means. And then, the rug's pulled out from under you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't end there. We should also mention now, before we get into actually more news that's actually relevant, I want to let you know, Eric, that I looked up where Jacko on his backo, what periodical it came from. It was the New York Post.
Oh, look at that.
But they weren't done there, Eric. They had one just called Jacko's Backo, and that's when he actually came back. They had one called Jacko's Aiken Backo. That's when he had a bad back when he went into court. Then they had one called King of Flop, where Jacko falls and breaks his ankle at home. They were all over the Jacko movie. Okay, so, but yeah, another news that came out today is that, and this is...
I want to just mention before we move off the Batgirl specific thing, I mean, I know it's all tied together, is that a couple things here, which is that, was it a bad movie, which I say inconsequential, and it's like, I guess, if people were to say like, well, what if they told you, like, we all kind of knew Morbius was going to suck unless it was a huge surprise. What if they said, we're just not going to release it? And I would say that would have been terrible too, just as far as like
Venom, Let There Be Carnage was absolutely terrible, and it made a shit ton of money. Like, that's not a reason to not release a movie. Like,
and both of the fact that it's all subjective,
wasn't going in the theaters, but
bad things make money or are successful, but also it's even up to debate, because look, I believe this. I believe they didn't love it or think it was great, but I also think, was it terrible or not? And some were like, oh, it had terrible test screening. But then some people said, actually, it had okay test screening. It scored the same as It Chapter 1, which, guess what, did very well for them. It all doesn't matter, because we should also mention, I mean, you're kind of going into this, I know, with like the more stuff that came out today, but it's like, why is this happening and what else is happening? But the fact that their decision, and I'm not going to get into all the minutia because I'll never understand it myself fully, but their decision to do this and Zaslav's decision to do this, besides the fact that he wants to change their whole approach with this specific movie, and we should mention Scoob, the sequel to Scoob, the Scooby-Doo movie, also got shelved. And as much as that's like, no one cares about that, but people do care about that because Scooby-Doo is a huge franchise for Warner Brothers, and that cost $40 million. That they're being shelved because it's a tax write-off. That it was just a very cold decision that, not thinking at all about anything else except for, well, we can make these tax write-off. Sorry.
No, I mean, but that's the Zaslav way, right? So it's just sort of like, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here about the bottom line. I'm here to just come in and gut this place. And, the rumors that they're going to lay off 70% of their sort of developmental staff for HBO Max. And then these streamer-specific, these HBO Max exclusive movies, which are Moonshot, which I reviewed for IGN, Superintelligence
4 months ago.
Yeah, with Cole Sprouse and Lana Condor, Superintelligence, which was the Melissa McCarthy movie, Robert Zemeckis' Witches remake with Anne Hathaway and Octavia Spencer and all them, An American Pickle, that Seth Rogen movie,
which I reviewed for Fandom,
Charm City Kings, and Doug Liman's his Lockdown, which was sort of the COVID movie he did with Anne Hathaway and Chitwatel Ejiofor. I don't think it wasn't about COVID, or was it? I can't remember.
It was about a heist during lockdown.
COVID, right.
Yeah, during lockdown. Yeah.
But they're just gone from the platform, and they were the only place you could see these movies.
I will slightly correct you, because you can purchase them. But it is bizarre that these were pushed as like exclusively streaming on HBO Max. That was big part of their whole thing, and now they're gone.
Now these aren't, I would say, aside from maybe Superintelligence and the Witches remake, weren't like mega draws. Like, I think they weren't meant to move the needle per se. I think the ones I mentioned was sort of like, Melissa McCarthy, her new movie's here, and then we've got this, the Witches remake.
And some of these were also early COVID selling off because no one could release a movie.
Yeah, in theaters.
I think American Pickle was one of those. Sony sold it to HBO Max.
So now basically the question becomes, what about the actual HBO Max exclusive series that are supposed to return, like Peacemaker, Our Flag Means Death, the other two, which was a Comedy Central series that sort of pivoted to HBO Max, and now I don't think will probably come back for season 3, even though it's supposed to. Just because things have been renewed doesn't mean that they will now happen. Like, we've already gotten a taste of this during COVID with Glow and other movie shows that have been sort of like unrenewed, but that could definitely be the case here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's funny because I saw.
Remember, no one is safe.
James Gunn had to respond to people on Twitter that were like worried about Peacemaker, saying, "Don't worry, it's fine." But someone did respond to him, and it was something correct, which is, I'm sure someone said, "Well, I bet the Batgirl directors would have told you a week ago. There's no way that they wouldn't release our movie, just because it is, such an extreme." It's also weird because HBO Max has grown this reputation as one of the best streaming services out there.
Yep.
And just in terms of both really strong original programming, but also a really great library of titles that they have. And so people have been really touting them and saying, wow, they're really kind of up there now as one of the best. And so everyone's like, what does this mean for their future? That they're going to gut development. They're probably going to like sort of combine it so that it's all under sort of HBO versus, yes, it was all weird corporately, even to the point when calling it HBO Max, going back to the beginning, but that they still had HBO as a separate development from HBO Max and all this stuff. So
I mean, they may now actually give it a Warner Discovery name instead of an HBO name, but it sounds like
we don't know. This is the stuff that could happen Thursday, right, but maybe not. But also I do want to mention that because I mentioned the Wonder Twins, that was kind of the early harbinger of doom here. And this is what I'm talking about, where it's like, I don't disagree with some of the broad strokes here, but the method of how you deal with it in the interim is what's horrible, which is apparently, Zaslav comes in and there were a couple things he strongly and staunchly disagreed with about the HBO Max and the corporate approach for Warner in totality the past couple of years that he wanted to change. And some of these I agree with. And a lot of that was about the day and date thing, last year that they put every movie, theatrical movie was on HBO Max the same day. And how much did that undercut their box office? Mm-hmm. And also just the idea that they were going to go, we'd heard a few months ago, they're going to start releasing more movies theatrically again, Warner Brothers as a studio. They're going to up, how many come out a year. And also that they knew at this point, looking at the numbers, that if a movie comes out theatrical first, it does better in the long term on streaming because it has a different cachet to it.
No, that's true. And it actually goes back to when we were growing up and how long it would take things to go onto TV. And actually, we'll kind of talk about that in the main event today with Halloween 3. Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, like when it would arrive on TV and then when it would arrive later when cable came around on HBO and stuff like that. And there was sort of a specialness and an eventualization of it. But yeah, so you see a movie in the theater, if you like it, like a 45-day window is enough time for you to be like, yeah, I want to watch that again now on streaming. And so you catch it twice that way, if not more than that. So
right. And apparently what thing they'd said is like, because the approach had been, oh, we're going to make a bunch of DC movies for HBO Max, and those will be budgeted in like the 70 to 80 million dollar range versus like 150 to 200 for something that's going theatrical. And that they were like, no, that doesn't make sense because there's no financial, like, maybe, even if we could say like, maybe we get more subscribers from it, it's not worth putting in that much money to it, which I don't disagree with. And again, like in the broad sense, I get that, like, wait, why are we doing this? Why are we spending this much? And that's why Wonder Twins got the plug pulled. The problem with Batgirl, first of all, they said one of the things that screwed Batgirl was it was made to be one of those movies. So it was budgeted at like 70 million originally. And again, it did balloon a little more because of the COVID, but that they didn't feel like it looked even, because it didn't have the budget of like, even, a Shazam 2 or any of these movies. It looked like it didn't have the bigger budget because it didn't. And so they didn't think it was like, they could like spruce it up to be theatrical. And I understand that part. And I understand saying, you know what, we're not going to do this anymore. It's the we're going to bury it part that's so fucked up. It's like, I understand saying going forward, we wouldn't greenlight this.
Like after this mistake, what if it is that we will
even a financial mistake, forget about the quality of the movie, right?
Yeah. It's the fact that they just like just fucking destroyed it.
I was thinking like it'd be like if, and again, people might say to me that there was legal reasons they couldn't do this, but just go with me here. If when Disney bought 20th Century Fox, they said, you know what, New Mutants, Kingsman, Death on the Nile, we're just never going to show them to anyone ever. Like, we didn't greenlight them. We don't care about them. So no one will ever see them. And how,
and Eric, if that didn't happen, what would I have watched on my plane trip to Germany and then to San Diego, where I watched Kingsman and Death on the Nile?
There you go. See,
New Mutants. I actually went and saw in a drive-through. My first drive-in.
Yes,
movie experience, and it wasn't great.
I also saw New Mutants at a drive-in, and I think I liked it a bit more than you, though I didn't love it. And it's just
not a movie to see at night. It's too dark and the sound stuff. But also, all drive-ins aren't made alike, and this was probably just
I think I mentioned I saw it a much better experience because it was Disney paying for bright screens at the Rose Bowl. But also, I will always have the strange memory of 5 minutes before New Mutants starting. Brent, our friend, we went to the drive-in together, which is he sat in the next car with his wife, because again, this is like pre-vaccine, scary lockdown time. Him texting me to say Chadwick Boseman had died, and me thinking that it was like some fucked up joke, but it wasn't. And then New Mutants started, and I was like, "What?" Like, processing.
A classic Simon's gag.
I didn't think it was his joke. I just, just circling back, it's like, it's just. Even if agreeing, I understand that the idea of like, hey, you were making some bad calls with this streaming service as far as like these movies and how you position them and how you pay for them, but the like, we're just gonna bury, like, literally no one will see them, and how fucked that up is, for everyone involved in making them, and and how scary it is. I mean, look, they lost Nolan, Warner Brothers lost Nolan because of the streaming stuff. It's so funny, but now they're going to lose people. Now people will be scared to work with them because it's like,
because at least if you made a movie, you could sort of be guaranteed that someone would be able to see it somehow.
People will have a chance to watch it. Yes.
Right.
Apparently, by the way, because people were like, couldn't they sell it? Like, couldn't it be like the Monsters movie, where it's like Universal is like, we'll sell it to Netflix streaming rights to make some money. And apparently they're like, no, because they can only get this tax write-off.
Then it messes up on their sweet tax return. Let's move on to some emails here before we sort of get too in the weeds with all this shittiness. We'll know more, hopefully, maybe we'll see tomorrow, and add on to the end of this podcast if necessary, if we deem the shittiness reportable. And but it's sort of unprecedented shit going on here with the release model, which is now not to release things. It's a shame too, because couldn't happen to one of the better streamers, because it was HBO Max, again, a beacon in this time of too many streamers. Good stuff happening over there, but maybe not for much longer. Let's get into these emails, some of which were left around from last week. I'll do Mike from San Antonio's really quickly, because he brings up the Warner Brothers Discovery merger too, this is actually a wrestling question, so I don't know if we're going to get into it, the weeds here with it. But Mike writes, with Vince stepping down, this is Vince McMahon stepping down and retiring, quote unquote, retiring from WWE. I know most wrestling conversation is focused on WWE right now, but I wonder if you have any information or thoughts on what the WB Discovery merger might have in store for AEW. They've already put together quite a graveyard, and it's somewhat disconcerting. P.S. I noticed Matt's been watching Westworld, and I'm sure he's happy as I am that it's fun to watch again. Yes, it is kind of fun to watch Westworld again, Mike. But as far as AEW, I know that our dreams at one point would be great, like for people who were cord cutters, was that they aired the weekly episodes on HBO Max, but I don't know what the state of that streaming service will be now at this point. I think it's safe where it is on cable, basic cable.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as the streaming dreams for it, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's I don't know how, maybe you remember, but if not, it's fine, that how long their deal is, like how much.
It was like 3 years. Yeah. So they probably have to re-up, but we'll see. Mark left a comment over on Patreon really quickly that he appreciated our Snyder rant soapbox. Thank you, Mark. And then the other Mike who wrote in, and we read his email or Patreon message, I can't remember which it was, last week. I played The Quarry this past week and loved it. So The Quarry, which is something he was recommending to us as a horror video game last week. Not only did I play The Quarry and finish it, but The Quarry made me actually finally buy and download the final 4 quote unquote telltale episodes of The Walking Dead so I can finish off Clementine's story. I only bring that up not just because it's horror, but because it's another interactive quick time event horror game. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then let's see. So Ben, who we've now bumped twice.
Our Lindsey Buckingham, yes.
off of our What's Up With That? So initially Ben wrote in, Ben, who is from Australia, Ben wrote in about questions about how people get paid for flashbacks, whether you are a relatively unknown performer like the actress who played Barb in season 1 of Stranger Things, who then was shown in flashbacks, or Natalie Portman, who was shown in flashbacks for recently Disney Plus's Obi-Wan. And then in his second message, he wrote, since I wrote the original message, I also remembered the other part of my question and how payments apply to movies. For example, Top Gun Maverick, Anthony Edwards and Meg Ryan were shown in flashback. Did the studio need to go back to them and renegotiate money for the flashback scene to be used? Or is it courtesy? Business side questions in the industry always interest me. Ben, I don't know the specifics of this, but I definitely don't think it's a courtesy. Usually there is negotiations going on, and there are lawyers and people who actually build a career off of the minutia like this. So.
Here's where I don't know the specific answer. The thing I can't answer for him is if it's just 100% using previously shot material. No, they absolutely get paid. I know that.
Yes.
Like my mom has gotten paid for being in like a clip show, I think, for Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, just using your likeness, even if it's not something filmed for.
It's like if you filmed an episode or a movie and they want to use that footage in a flashback or previously on or something, not that. Yeah, you get paid for sure. And I don't think, don't quote me on this, I don't think they have to necessarily on a TV show at least negotiate that. With Meg Ryan and Anthony Edwards, I feel like they probably had some conversation. Hey, we're going to use this footage of you in this movie. But they would have get no matter what, they would have gotten paid for that. I know once it's involving anything new, there's like a famous story about Michael Biehn playing real hardball with Alien 3, wanting to like use his image, not just footage from the previous movie, but like use his image in a different new way where he got a lot of money for that to not be in that movie.
Michael Bihn's got to eat. I'm glad someone made out like a bandit off that movie. But
yeah, I wish I knew the answer to like Top Gun Maverick's a great question. Like a huge studio movie, two notable actors who didn't film anything new, but they're going to be used. Like I said, I know no matter what, they would get money for that. Do they have to sign off on it? Probably. I think TV shows, like my mom did not. I think my mom, when she
there's just
they didn't ask her to use a clip, but they did pay her for it.
I just assume, Ben, that there are instances where there's a system in place, like Eric's talking about with TV shows, and then these new happenings that no one ever expected, like sequels coming decades later to some, and things that you never expected to need these footage of these performers again, and now you do. So maybe there's renegotiation, but people are getting money somehow.
Yes.
And yeah, that also goes for, you know, with something like a Netflix series, though, which was part of his original question, it's probably built into the contract at this point, but that's just would operate like a TV show. So yeah.
Right.
All right. And then we've got another email that got bumped from last week, and that comes from James. James actually is bringing up our last unicorn discussion, where you noted that the title card said Lord Grade Presents, but wasn't sure if Lord Grade was a person or thing. So
person
James
or company. Yeah.
James explains Lord Lou Grade was a British TV and movie producer. He helped found a company, ITC Entertainment, which has produced British television that would become syndicated in America. So ITC co-produced The Last Unicorn. His company actually ties into another recent good thing to enjoy, The Dark Crystal. That was a main event, but I'll let this slide. When Jim Henson was shopping around The Muppet Show, all the American networks passed on it, but Lou Grade and his company agreed to co-produce The Muppet Show. And after its success, ITC Entertainment would go on to co-produce other Henson projects, including The Dark Crystal. And then he has a podcast he wants to recommend to us called, what's it called? It's actually called Below the Frame, and it is hosted by the current Kermit and Big Bird performer, Matt Vogel, and each episode is an interview with a different performer or someone involved with the Muppets production. So
I love Muppets, so I would be interested in that.
And he also wants to recommend one. We are looking to name one of our Patreon tiers, the beginner tier, which just has ad-free episodes. And his comes from an inside joke, which is us discussing on a previous episode Jacko on his backo. So he wants to actually suggest Jacko gonna backo for the Patreon, and we'll take that under advisement as one of the possible renames.
I appreciate that because we both have referenced Jacko, but Matt references it more. But we're also realizing a lot of people listening to this will have no idea who the fuck Jacko is. But if we can put that in your head.
Yeah, so, and I've even brought it up earlier in this podcast without even explaining who Jacko is, and it is not the Australian icon. That's a little strong. What was Jacko to Australia?
A legend, a hero.
Legend. Sorry, not an icon, a legend. Flash in the pan Australian actor Jacko, who has made it big here with a string of Energizer commercials.
You know who Jacko would have been perfect for? Perfect format.
Okay. Something we just talked about on this podcast today?
No, just pop culture.
Okay, just pop culture. Okay, superhero, Marvel or DC?
No, not superhero, but you're. I don't even know for sure if you'll know what the hell I'm talking about.
Oh, no. Now
because this is something I think I'm a bigger fan of than you. This thing.
Okay, go for it.
Jacko would have been an absolutely perfect, down to having the right accent, Road Pig from the Dreadnoks.
I know who Road Pig is.
Okay, you know who Road Pig is. Okay.
Oh my God!
Look, can you see it? Can you see it?
Of course, I can see it. You know what? You know what? I can't see the Zartan figure that I lost in the woods of Maine when Raphael and I went and stayed at a weird country house for a week.
But you know what? Also, I'm wrong, and I kind of realized I was wrong the second I said it because I thought. I think Road Pig was American, though the Dreadnoks were predominantly Australian, and I am correct. But they could have changed him. He could have been also from Australia, like his buddies.
Don't kill your casting dream like this, Eric. Just imagine it the way you want. I will just mention, too, that my Zartan figure was very important to me because I wasn't allowed to have G.I. Joe figures when I was a kid. But for some reason, I convinced my mom because he changed colors, so he was kind of special. But yeah, then I fucking lost him. Just like I did my Kermit the Frog watch in second grade when I took my watch off to eat, Eric. I don't know why I did that in the cafeteria at my elementary school, and I put it on my tray, and then I threw it out with all my fucking food. All right.
What the hell are you doing?
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing then. I don't know what I'm doing now. Over on Patreon, if you'd like to, for $2 a month, you can get ad-free versions of this podcast. The tier right now is called Super Fun Fans, I think, but it will change at one point. Or you can become a Hudson Hawk, and for $4 a month, you can get weekly versions of this podcast ad-free, as well as ad-free versions of our bonus episodes, of which we do at least one a month. We have been doing more, but the agreement's for at least one as we head into August with not huge things to do. But we've been talking about possibly in a few weeks now doing a Better Call Saul retrospective.
Mm-hmm.
Let's also say that you can send us messages over at weenjoypodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us at Twitter at the Matt Fowler and the Eric Goldman. Now let's get into our good things to enjoy this week. Eric, you have a follow-up for last week and something new.
Yes. I wanted to mention that I finished Light and Magic. And though I would definitely recommend it overall, I meant to say this last week because when I said I don't know how if the whole thing is great, and you said, well, it's a documentary, like would there be anything that would drop the ball?
It turns out they were dead the whole time, like on Lost, which is absolutely the correct take on that final season. They were dead the entire time. There's nothing wrong with that statement.
No, I'd seen some other people say that it did start stronger than it ended, and now that I've seen it, I see why they said that, which is simply that because the last 2 episodes cover like 30 years. The first 4 are like the Star Wars trilogy and anything they did in between, and then the last 2 were like just leaping, like they do a lot of time on Terminator 2, The Abyss, Terminator 2, and Jurassic Park. But then you like even the Star Wars prequels, you'd think they'd spend more time on. So it's very top heavy. So that is a criticism, but it's still great overall. So you should watch it if you haven't. It's really interesting, especially the stuff about John Dykstra and him and Lucas having this like falling out, and why like he was like the one major person from the early days who did not continue on with ILM after the first Star Wars. So anyway, that was my little note on that. But my main recommendation this week is a movie, as we talked about earlier. The movie's debuting in the streaming realm right now, and the turbulent nature of that is a movie debuting in the streaming realm that is part of a major franchise, much like Batgirl was supposed to be. And that is Prey, which, if you are in America, is on Hulu as of August 5th, this Friday. And if you're in the rest of the world, is on Disney Plus, because there is no Hulu. But this is a great movie. This is the 5th Predator movie. A strange franchise because you don't get the 5 movies and say, hey, that never worked. But it also has never really taken off. Everyone loves the first movie because it's a great movie, but they've never had a sequel that's been a big hit and has gotten its own continuation with any returning characters.
So I am a Predator 2 apologist. I really enjoy Predator 2. I think it works really well. It is not as great.
I enjoy Predator 2 as well. Yeah.
So I'll just also really quickly say I've also seen Prey and enjoyed it immensely, and also recommend it. It's great. You should catch it on Hulu. I look forward to watching it on my TV instead of my computer screen on a screener format when it comes out. But Predator 2. I'll just say this quickly about Prey, sorry to interrupt you, is that I loved sending the trailer to people because it is the trailer builds it up. It's a stealth Predator story as far as like, you wouldn't know it's this Predator movie going in like halfway through the trailer, it turns and it's awesome. So it was fun to send it to people and get their reaction via text and so on.
Yeah, I completely agree. I showed it to Trish and she was like, what? Anyway, though, yeah. 5th Predator movie, but the big turn here being that it's a period piece set in the year 1719, something that a lot of Predator comic books did, but the movies never did. And that alone is just a cool aspect of the movie, that it's about this young Native American woman taking on a predator in the year 1719. But also it's Dan Trachtenberg, the director's follow-up. It's funny, it took him several years to have a cinematic follow-up to 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is a great movie. He directed some TV in between, including The Boys pilot. But this is his second movie, and I think he's 2 for 2 now. This is just a terrific movie. It's lean and mean, just a little over 90 minutes. And it's just a really well-told story. It's a simple story, which I think most Predator movies should be. I think sometimes the other Predator movies got bogged down by trying to kind of like expand the mythology. This one, is just another story about a predator on the hunt, but both the change of scenery and era and the nature of the main character, everything works really well to make it feel fresh and different. The action is great. The approach to the predator is great. He kind of gets to be like Jason Voorhees, and both has like just menacing and
he looks just fucking rad as hell.
Looks rad. Gets to like kind of unleash at one point in a really satisfying way, because maybe some of the people he attacks, you're not as sad to see die as others. And Amber Midthunder, who's the lead, who Matt and I both knew from Legion. The X-Men,
and I know her from the Liam Neeson movie she was in that I actually saw.
Yes. And she was also for the past
About
4 years, she was
Ice
on
Road Truckers or whatever.
she
Yeah.
was on Roswell, New Mexico, but this is her very much like her star making role. She's terrific as the lead, really holds the screen, makes for like a great hero in this film. I think she'll get a lot of both new fans and new roles from this, and hopefully some of those people can go back and watch Legion, which is a show I recommended on this podcast. Anyway, I dug this movie. I've watched it twice so far. Tomorrow night as we record this, I will be watching it again because there's a Beyond Fest screening. Because yes, the sad thing is it's streaming only. It's a mixed bag because but also this movie exists because of streaming, because the last two Predator movies bombed. There's no way 4 years after the Predator we'd already be getting another Predator movie that would play in theaters, especially now that Disney owns the franchise. This movie exists because Disney's like, well, we own Predator now and we can make this for Hulu, so I'm sad that people can't see it in theaters because it plays great with an audience, which I've seen firsthand because I have seen one screening. But I'm also just glad it exists and people can watch it.
Again, pimping Predator 2 here for those who may have not seen it or seen it in a while. You get rewarded if you've actually seen Predator 2 watching Prey. I won't go into that, but Prey also is a throwback and the closest movie we've gotten since the first that is like the first, where it's just like in the forest with a predator. What are you going to do? Right. Like, and you could say, well, this is even harder because this is a more primitive society because it's hundreds of years ago. But, if a predator is doing his job, he's disarmed you anyway. And you just have to use your wits to sort of get out of the situation anyway. Yeah. The first Predator, is that McTiernan? Right.
Yep.
One of those, Arnold made like 4 solid action movies that are just like tight and impeccable, and that was one of them. Predator is amazing, and this is the closest we've gotten since that movie to like the spirit of the original and the sort of the Predator in general. When is it? August 5th? That's this Friday, right?
Yep.
All right. My good thing to enjoy this week, besides The Quarry, which I recommend as a video game, I guess that's kind of a follow-up because I played it. It is a sort of a quick game depending on how much you binge it, and it's like watching a movie. And it does have Justice Smith and Brenda Song and Lance Henriksen and a lot of famous people, David Arquette. And it's not just them voicing these characters. It is really great motion capture. So it's almost like playing a movie with these actors in it because they're not an Ariel Winter. It's like, and other people you might know. I recommend the Quarry, but my viewing recommendation is a documentary called This Is Gwar, which I saw in a special screening at an Alamo Drafthouse near me a few weeks ago, but it is now streaming on Shudder. And it is, so Gwar is a heavy metal band that still exists to this day, but they formed in the mid 80s and had a heyday in the early to mid 90s. And that's sort of when I discovered them. I discovered them in high school, kind of because of the way most people did, which is through the weird cycle of pop culture and media at the time, namely Beavis and Butthead, which featured Gwar a few times on their show. And the whole point of Gwar was Beavis and Butthead's favorite band. In fact, the Beavis and Butthead video game, the goal was to get tickets to go to a Gwar show. And then Gwar would show up in various things like Empire Records and Alex Winter's The Idiot Box. And so they had it, and they also did, because they were costumed shock rock metal, a metal band that dressed up like aliens, and they would do the daytime talk show circuit. So they'd be on at the time like Sally Jesse Raphael and Maury Povich and all these people who, when the boom of tabloid
Isn't
television.
This crazy?
Yeah, isn't they crazy? And they come out in the costumes, and the Gwar fan kid is still a meme to this day. Like, so I was a big Gwar fan, and this is a documentary about those beginnings. Because I got into Gwar pre-internet, I never really cycled back to did a deep dive, like we do nowadays on Wikipedia or something about Gwar. They just sort of existed for me in this pristine form of they are these aliens who crash landed on Earth in Antarctica. There's a whole lore and story behind Gwar. And I didn't know, I knew they formed in Richmond, Virginia, the city I was born in. I didn't know much more than that. So this was a fun documentary for me as a fan, going back, seeing how they began as sort of an art student meets a punk rocker, and they both merged their worlds. One wanted to make an alien movie, and the other wanted to like incorporate costumes in his band, and they kind of went together. And there's been so many members of GWAR over the past 30 years, in and out. There's, I think,
like Menudo.
Yeah, there are 2 original members though. The lead singer Dave Brocky actually died about 10 years ago, who was the singer Odorous Urungus. Very distinct voice, great onstage performance and performer. I was well aware of that. They've had one very brief replacement, but now the original bassist, actually not the original, but one of the early bassists has come back as their lead singer. But like you'll get talking heads in this, like Weird Al Yankovic and Alex Winter, because the GWAR was on Idiot Box. Tom Lennon of The State and Reno 911, who says my favorite quote in the documentary, which was, the joke of GWAR is that they were actually good. And that's what drew me to them. It wasn't the costumes, it's that I was into metal at the time, and they were really fucking good. Like, they were a good band that would easily be dismissed because of their costumes and their stage performance, and like their show was absolutely bonkers. And I got to see them in 92 at the Ritz in New York City, and it is insane. And I don't know how many bands out there say they can actually have a splash zone, but GWAR does. And they are known for spraying their audiences with fake blood, fake jizz, fake every fluid that could come out of a human body. And they have decapitations on stage. And it's as much of a carnival show as it is anything else. So this is GWAR. You can watch it on Shudder, even if you don't know who they are, or were never a fan and never listened to them, but do know who they are. I think it's a great documentary.
I will check that out because I hear it's really good, including from you, because I know very little about GWAR except that they existed and what they look like. I couldn't name a song to save my life from them. I have no idea even what they really sound like. I just remember they had the fun silly costumes. They look like they could fight Power Rangers. And of course, my main pop culture reference for GWAR is when the Punisher murdered them. And I believe it was the Punisher Back to School special. You would never, everything about that entire thing they would never do now. But there was a Punisher special where he found out that a band called Warg, see, they put the G on the end of the name, but they look just like them, were really killing people on stage, and it wasn't the act everyone thought it was. And so the Punisher jumped on stage during their concert and killed them all one by one, and the crowd cheered because they just
thought it was part of the show, or they knew it was murder and they cheered anyway
because they got to see the final performance.
Honestly, if the Punisher came on stage when I saw them and murdered them all, I would have cheered as well.
Now, which Punisher would you envision doing that? That's a Ray Stevenson move to me.
Oh no! Oh, you mean like an actual actor who played him?
Lundgren, Jane, Stevenson.
Well, here's the thing: I saw them in '92, so I would only pick Lundgren at the time, right? Because it was so early in the Punisher.
I was giving
movie.
you the power to go back.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. If that's the case, then Stevenson from Warzone. Yeah, hell yeah.
The missile launcher.
Well, also punching through someone's face. Doesn't he? Yeah, he literally punches through a guy's head.
I think you're right about that. Yeah. Underrated. Good movie.
Well, I mean, not besides taking the missile launcher to the parkour gang, but yeah. That was the one that actually had, and also, what's his name from The Wire who played Jigsaw in that movie? Dominic West. West?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so that movie actually did give us Jigsaw before Netflix gave us Jigsaw. So yeah. All right. And I think, that'll do it. We're going to head into our main event with our great special guest, Dorina, and we're going to talk about Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which I just watched for the first time. What did I think of it? Let's find out.
And we're back from an instantaneous jump for all of you guys, but a day later for Matt and I. But now we are joined by our friend, Dorina. Dorina, how's it going for you?
Hola, hola. You know, surviving the Twilight Zone. Happy to be here with my horror nerd friends, especially after getting to hug you guys at Comic-Con.
I know, right? That was a trip. And, you were here because we were at a Comic-Con party and I was mentioning that we were doing the Halloween movies currently, and you instantly lit up and mentioned how much you were interested in Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
Yes, I do not care about any Halloween except for that one. Well, to be fair, I actually really love the first one.
Okay.
But the other ones are fine.
I get it. So, Dorina, you're about to learn that this was my first time watching Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
Wow.
This and what did I say? Resurrection? What was the
Halloween Resurrection? Yeah.
Were the two Halloweens I had not seen. And though growing up in the 80s, very familiar with the poster, the iconography, the masks, the song, like everything that is the imagery that has come out of this movie that is sort of stuck in the public's mind over the past decades. I am familiar with that. And I guess a little bit of the plot, but I'd never actually seen it. So I will talk to you guys about your history with this film and how you guys first saw it, because I just saw it yesterday.
Cool. That'll be really interesting, because I think both Eric and I'm assuming we watched it as either teenagers or kids. I don't know. But
interestingly, I have a strange relationship with this movie, which is that I don't even think I mentioned this to you, Matt, on a previous episode. This is the Halloween movie I think I saw parts of first. I have vague memories of seeing parts of this on TV as a very young kid. Just, the way that you're a kid and you're not really paying attention to something being on television. Definitely didn't watch the whole movie, but I didn't see this whole movie until last 10 to 12 years when I went to the New Beverly because they were showing Trick or Treat in a double feature with Halloween 3. I absolutely love Trick or Treat.
It's like
and I said,
best Halloween movie.
It's so good, right? And I was like, okay, I'm going to stick around and watch Halloween 3 finally. And I fucking loved it. And now I'm all about Halloween 3. But Dorina, it sounds like you probably have the deepest history with this movie of all of us.
Well, fortunately, growing up in Mexico, they played not for kids movies during the day on TV.
Okay.
And so even though I had to sometimes watch them dubbed, like I definitely saw, Chucky instead of Chucky, or Chucky. but I still got to see a bunch of cool horror movies as a kid because of that. Even though, my grandma's like, "What are you watching?" I'm like, "It's during the daytime. It's fine, grandma, abuelita." So yeah, I have a lot of fun stories for this movie. I also love that Eric is calling us out and telling everybody that at Comic-Con parties we're super cool and we talk horror movies.
Well, come on.
No, that's the best corner to be in, is the one just standing off to the side talking about Halloween movies, slashers. I think that Dorina, I'm going to ask you from Mexico. I'm going to ask you because I had a Mexican, I guess. She's still my mother-in-law? Probably not. My ex-mother-in-law was from Mexico City. And a big thing is that she lived with us. And when my kids were small, she would have anything on in the house, like anything on TV, no matter the content. Goodfellas, like all these things that were just like super violent or had all these sex scenes in them. And my kids were just walking in and out of the room and she would just have things on all the time. But it sounded like people were concerned with what you were watching. Culturally, is this sort of like a thing where it's like content doesn't matter, or what can you tell me about that?
Well, it's funny because, I moved here to the States as an adult going to college, and it's interesting to see the differences where they're both puritanical countries in different ways. I thought Americans were a lot more open-minded, and then I came here and like, you guys added the rating system in the 80s, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, Gremlins is fine. Like, why are you worried about Gremlins too? So it is a bizarre thing, but even though we're also puritanical in Mexican culture, for some reason they don't care as much to show sex and violence on screens. I guess in America, they don't care about violence as much as sex for some reason.
Oh yeah.
Which is really stupid. But it's like, titties. I'm like, how about a decapitated head? But yeah, no, in Mexico, we have this culture that, El Diablo, right? Like, because of Catholicism, Mexicans are very scared of things like The Exorcist and all of these paranormal type of movies, right? And so nobody wants to watch things with possession or things like that. So there's a lot of myth and folklore and legends behind, all kinds of different creatures that Mexican folklore has created, like La Llorona, El Cucuy, Chupacabras, all of that. So as much as we're also puritanical, we're also super into the occult. Right. And so I think that's why that there's so much content down there about that as well. And nobody cares. I mean, when I was a kid, a lot of nighttime shows had, sexual situations in them. It was not a big deal. And there's no such thing as like the MPAA or whatever the hell, the stupid conservative.
right.
Well, that's why like something like The Walking Dead became like a family hit. Families would watch this show together at its apex, just gather around the hearth and watch some of the most hardcore gore I've seen in a long time on The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, God forbid there was a sex scene. That's America.
But before we jump into the movie, Dorina, I want you to promote yourself, because you were at Comic-Con, I know, with World Girls, and just tell everyone what you got going on with those guys.
Yeah. So I made what it appears to people as the grave mistake of leaving Google, the company, to start my own business. And I ended up starting this company with Roxy Stryer and Steph Sabra, and who are just friends of mine that we became closer. And we've had this little startup for the last couple of years called the World Girls, where we literally give things a whirl. And similar, you have the Try Guys, you got Jackass, but it's time for, people with vagina to give things a whirl. Girls,
I've heard of those people. Yeah,
people with vaginas. And so we literally do all kinds of weird shit. Like everything from going to Halloween Horror Nights and scaring the crap out of Steph, who's the scaredy cat world girl, all the way to, like, we just started a podcast called Bitch Out of Water, where we're trying experiences and foods and things like that on YouTube. But on the podcast, we're actually talking about life experiences. Like I have a husband and a boyfriend, and that weirds people out. So we talk about that, right? Or, Roxy talks about grieving because she lost her mom at a young age. So we literally try to do everything in every event, every experience, and talk about it and entertain people, and hopefully spreading a little bit of joy in this messed up world.
That's awesome. I mean, it's super impressive to see, how you guys are growing. Because obviously I remember, when you guys were sort of just starting out. And I hadn't realized that you'd like completely left the Google world behind till recently. But that's awesome that you're going all in with this stuff.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for my time in both entertainment and tech. But at some point, you're like, I got to start my own thing, because these companies are doing some shitty things too.
So, what do you mean? They're always
like
out
not
with
really
the best
and look, we're talking about Halloween 3. We're going to talk about big corporations, right?
That's right. Connell Cochran does run a lot of companies, it turns out. So.
Yes.
He might be, isn't he the Warner Brothers Discovery guy now?
Silver Shamrock decrees that Batgirl won't see the light of day. Yeah,
exactly. He's the one that came up with that awful Warner Brothers Discovery logo.
Oh God, yeah, that too. All right, shall we go? Shall we dive in here to Halloween 3?
Halloween 3. What do you think press, aside from like Fangoria or like just horror periodicals back in the day, what do you think the press was like for this movie, and how many people who went and saw this movie went into it blind, or maybe thinking Michael Myers was a part of it?
I mean,
back
it was
in 81. Like,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, just like back in 81. Like, if you haven't seen the trailer, you just walk up to a movie theater, you say a ticket for this movie with a cool poster, but the Halloween franchise, and 2 movies in, it's had Michael Myers, and you go into this maybe not expecting it to be a completely different story. What do you think the odds are people experience that?
I mean, so many people were so mad,
Yeah.
which is so funny to me, because, nowadays it's like, the internet's making people mad. I'm like, people were mad back in the day. I mean, people were mad Michael Keaton was Batman. He's
Right.
like, how's Mr. Mom Batman? And I'm like, he's the best one. Shut up. So I mean, from what I read, and I also am not surprised, is that there's no way people had as much research as we do now with internet forums and things like that, that if they think it's a Halloween sequel, they're going to go see Michael Myers mess up some teenagers.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm sure that when they're sitting there in the movie and they're like, well, where is he? And he doesn't show up. So you're hugely disappointed if that's what you're looking to see, which is a bummer, because I think it's a really good movie. I think it's a really fun movie, which with some flaws, but.
Well, yeah, I texted Eric that, Halloween 2 bums me out a lot. But then this movie, I really enjoyed, as far as like an 80s cult horror movie. I thought it was really solid. And but I also wonder people sitting in that theater who at a certain point it was like, okay, maybe Michael's not in this movie, but then they see Halloween the movie on TV and they're like, wait a second,
Right.
I think I also knew that it was an in-universe thing, that Halloween was a movie, but it's also a major plot point.
Let me I'll nerd correct you, Matt, that this movie was 1982.
82, a year after Halloween 2, yeah.
Hey, the year I was born, best year in movies.
Oh, there you go.
Along with the thing in Blade Runner.
Came out. That's right.
Movies, yeah. But I'm guessing a lot of people went in blind expecting Michael, because all they'd have to go on are trailers and posters, which again, there's no YouTube, there's no way to like, hey, let's watch that trailer for Halloween 3. Either you saw it before a movie or you didn't. The trailer didn't show Michael, but at the same time, it didn't say he wasn't. And that title is very misleading. The 3. If it was Halloween Season of the Witch, but the number 3, there is this sort of implicit, we will be following the events of Halloween 2.
Totally.
That they probably should have slightly changed that title.
I just think it was pretty risky on their part, like putting this out, like hard starting an anthology franchise that nobody knew was going to happen. That was their next move here, and it's the movie still made money as far as I could tell. It's just dwindling returns over the first one and then the second, and now this one. Right. Looking for a way to because 4 brings back Michael Myers, and they were like, look, we tried it, didn't work. Let's just go back to what we know. This movie, when you guys see it now at revival screening and so on, how much sort of like awkward laughter does Dr. Dan get as being like a sex pest, like an alcoholic, sort of like Lothario?
He mostly gets he gets ironic cheers as the man,
Oh yeah, I mean, look, it also depends on which crowd you're watching it with, because if you go to in LA, there's the Beyond Fest crowd, right, which loves all of these horror type franchises. And I remember sitting in a Beyond Fest screening at the Egyptian watching Halloween 3, and there was actually a Q&A with Tom Atkins.
I was there too. We talked to each other.
That's right. Yeah, of course, Eric was there. We're always at the same movie.
Yeah, it was a Tom Atkins film fest. It was 3 Tom Atkins movies in a row. Yeah,
I think they also showed The Fog. Maybe I forget what else they showed.
It was The Fog and Night of the Creeps.
That's what it was. Yeah. And so, but I remember specifically one of my favorite scenes in the movies, because obviously all these 80s movies, as much as they're good, they show not just outdated but completely unrealistic relationships between men and women, and because this guy is like a playboy, and he's like, oh sure, he's sleeping with this nurse and he's sleeping with this new girl, and all the girls want him. Exactly.
Like,
the doctor's slapping the nurse asses. But my favorite scene in the movie, because equality, is when they show Tom Atkins's butt, and the entire Beyond Fest crowd cheered and clapped when that happened, and it made me very happy.
Yeah, I think there's so many different levels to like being into these like cult movies, right? So it's like people listening to this, I'm sure some people, if they watch this movie to listen along with us on this podcast, this was their first experience with Tom Atkins, who we're mentioning. We went to watch 3 Tom Atkins movies in a row, because it's like he is this cult actor who has his own Bruce Campbell like following, not at that level, but at a level. And
well, as far as 80s horror movies, previous to this, John Carpenter movies as well. And
he was in a bunch of John Carpenter movies, but
a lot of movies. Lethal Weapon is what I knew him from a lot. Just he had like 2 pivotal roles in that movie. But yeah, just like the ones you mentioned, Night of the Creeps, also, the bookends of Creep Show. He's just been all over. And then the director too also had history with John Carpenter, having been art director and editor on, Halloween and his previous films, and then going on to be second unit director on Big Trouble in Little China. So this is very much a John Carpenter family film. Yes, it's a family movie,
and it's the last Halloween movie Deborah Hill, she and Carpenter produces together.
Right.
It's the last one she'll ever work on, because unfortunately she passed away so young, and it's the last one Carpenter will be in any way involved with until 2018.
Right.
This is the end of an era.
Which is it's interesting, because if you hear about obviously huge Deborah Hill fan, as far as I understand, both Deborah and John Carpenter wanted to do more standalone Halloween movies, right? I don't even think John Carpenter wanted to do a Halloween 2 with Michael Myers. No. I think they wanted to do separate stories, which if they did a bunch of different types of Season of the Witch, that would have been pretty fucking cool. I'm kind of sad about that.
Yeah, no, it would have been super fun, but yeah, I think
I forget
yeah.
if we can cuss on here.
Oh, yeah, you go for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it would have been great, but yeah, I think people weren't ready for it and it wasn't properly presented. I think especially just because, you kind of alluded to this, Matt, but just the fact that there'd been a Halloween 2 that continued the Michael story, it is a hard pivot to be like, but now there's a Halloween 3.
I mean,
and it's about
granted,
something
he's
different.
on fire at the end, burning to death, and like you know, a reasonable person, but these weren't reasonable times. This was slasher era times when it didn't matter what happened to the maniac. So yeah, I would have probably expected him to come back too. And so this movie, and I remember the commercials, or because I don't think I saw the trailers to this movie except on TV, but like the mask turning into like that real pumpkin-y thing that happens at the end, there was really freaky imagery in this movie. I didn't know what it was about. I didn't even at this point know what the previous two movies were about. But yeah, one minor complaint, Eric, that you have about the first Halloween is that it wasn't Halloween focused enough as holiday wise, and you mentioned that when we did.
Well, I
Halloween.
said that's why I do think Trick or Treat is like the best movie about Halloween,
Mm-hmm.
because Halloween is a great movie set at Halloween, but it's not as much about.
So it's
Halloween.
the Die Hard Christmas movie of Halloween movies,
right?
And so this movie though is very Halloween centric.
Yes.
So this brings the Trick or Treatness back into the Halloween franchise, where it would never really be present again, because from after this it's Michael Myers all day, all night. So, and just things happening on Halloween. But yeah, so we open and we still getting the jack-o'-lantern opening here, but it's much different. It's very early 80s.
It's gone computers.
Like, look what computers can do. Look what graphics can do. These orange lines forming this face on the screen. And once again, we get the synth soundtrack.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, mixed together. John Carpenter and what's his name?
Alan Howarth. Yeah. I think this is the best Halloween soundtrack. The Cherry of Pumpkins is a freaking banger. Like every track is great. It's so good. It's fantastic music.
And then of course the sort of the iconic earworm that's meant to be an earworm, and it is one in the movie itself, which is the London Bridge is Falling Down version of Silver Shamrock, the countdown to Halloween that obviously stays with you long after the movie's over.
You will never forget that.
You'll never forget it. Set to a familiar tune that people knew at a certain era growing up with as a childhood nursery rhyme. But yeah, so we open in Northern California with a guy on the run, being chased down by someone in a car. And there's definitely obviously there's already a conspiracy story going on here. Someone knows something. The guy looks like an assassin, cold, emotionless. There's even almost a phantasm element, tall man element here, as far as just like a suited person coming after you. And basically sort of also Terminator at this point,
Well, right before.
It's not quite Terminator time yet.
Did you guys find it weird? I found a very strange, it must have been made at the last minute decision in post, that they have that 1 hour later graphic on screen when he gets to the gas station. I was like SpongeBob? I don't think we needed to know that this was an hour later. I think it was okay knowing he's on the run and he makes it to a gas station.
They wanted you to know how long he ran for and how hard it was to get to this gas station in the middle, like right at the start of a storm with lightning. This guy is on the run, and this is a fictitious northern town that he is visited to. We learned out later that he was getting a toy delivery from. Do we know how he figured out what was happening?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Explain,
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I don't. I'll go for it, Dorina.
No, I actually don't remember what happens, or I think the point of the opening sequence is just to let you know that there's weird shit happening. And this man obviously found something out, and that's why these weird robot dudes, went after him. But I think it's just kind of to kind of establish the fact that this is a company town, right?
Yeah,
which is the I think one of the coolest things about the premise of the movie, right? That the fact that you're the villain is no longer a slasher dude like Michael Myers. It's actually a freaking corporation. And nowadays, we have these 6 freaking big tech companies. Like we are a company town in America, right? So I think that that's actually pretty scary premise.
this movie is now owned by our friends at Comcast. I was thinking, like, it is weird thinking about how did he figure it out? Did he just figure it out looking at the mask? Or we are to take from this movie and what happens when they go to this town that it seems like all of the clients of Silver Shamrock like have this like personal relationship. Like things aren't just delivered to them. They like go and have meetings with Conal Cochran himself. So it seems like maybe he went for one of those meetings and saw something suspicious.
It's a lot of meetings because at the end of this movie, they do the sort of the Huey Lewis Heart of Rock and Roll call out where they're like, Dayton, Baton Rouge, like towns all over the
we
United
love
States. Omaha.
And they all love Conal Cochran, like all the dweebs that defend Elon Musk on Twitter.
Elon Musk should say
he's a genius, and they don't even know about his androids. They just like his masks,
right?
What do they know about his tech side? Yeah,
we should mention Chekhov's missing Stonehenge stone news report at the beginning of this movie in the gas station.
It'd be hilarious if that never came back into the story. Right. It would just be like, no, Stonehenge stone is missing. But yeah, this is part of like tying Halloween into the old Celtic, sacrificial pagan ways, according to Conal Cochran. And for you, Eric, as far as like it's Halloween time, and he's, first of all, he's a prank king.
He is.
Learning that was really interesting. That he's just sort of this Johnny Knoxville of a new era, where he's basically killing everyone as a prank. We'll get into it later at the end, but like, I'm not exactly sure how this method of killing kids and then adults works, or what the ultimate plan is, aside from it's just like, why not do it?
It's the best joke ever. It is
very, very funny. It is.
That is one of my favorite lines. A joke on the children. That is classic.
They don't do that anymore in the movies. Come on.
No.
So the guy basically gets to shelter in this gas station, and he's got the mask. And then we meet Dr. Dan, Tom Atkins, coming to
his hero ever,
his ex-wife's house to visit his kids. And so Linda gets a very bad rap here, which is that, she's the sort of the quote unquote shrewish ex-wife who's always harassing this cool guy, right? Who's just like, hey, I got my kids' masks or whatever. But then as the movie goes on, you're like, oh, he must have been a nightmare to be married to. So it's like you start feeling more and more for Linda, as far as somebody who probably just wanted a present partner who wasn't drinking all day and sleeping with his, all the nurses.
I was listening to there's a Tom Atkins commentary on the Scream Factory Halloween 3, and I was listening to a little bit of it in anticipation of this because I hadn't before. And I do like the guy who's kind of moderating it with him. He says something about like, well, it certainly seems like he wasn't a very good husband. And Tom Atkins is like, or a very good doctor. He's just like,
legend.
Yes.
Which is sad because Linda says that the things he's good at are drinking and doctoring. So
right. Now Linda is played by Nancy Loomis, making her the first actor to appear on screen in 3 Halloween movies in a row, because she played Annie Brackett in the original. And the corpse of Annie Brackett in Halloween 2. And
so this was like American Horror Story rotating cast before Ryan Murphy's series started.
Right. She was married to Tommy Lee Wallace at the time. So she was certainly around to be like, hey, can you play the the ex-wife in this?
That's right. They met on Halloween, I assume, right?
Maybe.
That's my headcanon.
Oh, that's a sweet love story there.
Yeah. Right? It's like Catherine, what's her
Hicks,
name?
Yeah,
Hicks
Catherine
meeting
Hicks,
Kevin Yeager on Child's Play.
Child's Play, yeah.
I love when horror brings people together.
So it brought us together, kids.
Exactly.
Called into work, a pager. I didn't realize they existed that early, but I guess so. He gets called into the hospital, and he sees the guy on the run he thinks is having a psychotic episode, and then the Terminator finds the guy in the hospital and splooshes his eyes and cracks his skull open.
Great scene.
Lights himself on fire. I don't know why, but it's cool. I guess after the Ben Tramer explosion.
Yeah, he explodes like Ben Tramer. I have questions because I agree, Dorina. It's just cool him coming in and gouging the eyes and then cracking the nose. I do wonder why the gloves, because he is a robot who's about to destroy himself. So it's like, why does he even bother putting on gloves before he does it? But maybe he just likes it. I don't know.
Is it like the inventor in Edward Scissorhands who just couldn't get a hold, like he couldn't master that robot hands, and so like if you pulled off those gloves, they'd just be like cyborg hands.
It'd be
Or-
like sausage fingers.
What do you think is the goo that's inside these Terminator robots?
Yeah.
Oh, the
What
honey
is-
mustard sauce?
Yeah.
Is that what that was? I was actually wondering what the effects people use for that.
Oh, I don't know what it was. I just think like that looks like something that like fast food dip. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
it was yellow, viscous. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
because
was-
I don't know. Maybe maybe there's something there that like if you gouge somebody's eyes out, maybe the goo can't touch the human goo. Who knows? Maybe he's protecting his own insides.
Oh yeah, you don't want the goose to mix. Yeah,
He's
yeah.
got to finish he's got to finish his mission first. Maybe it's it's Chick-fil-A dipping sauce. That's
Exactly.
what it is.
Well, instead of don't cross the streams, is don't cross the goose.
I like it.
Yeah, never
like it.
cross the goose. That's Gwyneth Paltrow's role, right?
And my OTP in this film was Dan and Agnes. They never got together. He does say he should have married her, but I was also very worried for Agnes. Fortunately, the android, the cyborg, walks right past her and lets her live, doesn't kill her.
Wait, which is Agnes?
Agnes is the nurse at the beginning before he goes to Teddy, who he obviously was sleeping with, to like sift through the car remains.
Oh, okay.
Agnes is sort of the nurse on duty when we
Is
first get
Agnes
that-
the one that he smacks her ass?
or she smacks his, or does he smack hers? I can't
I
remember.
think he
Yeah.
smacked hers.
But like they're basically they're workplace.
Look, he's
flirting
made his
in
way
the
through
early
this
80s.
hospital. Let's face it.
And she says, "Go take a nap," basically to him.
I
But
have
then-
to mention, but because I do not want to forget it, that if you guys, everyone should read Roger Ebert's review of this movie. I love Roger Ebert. He's a big part of how I ended up doing what I'm doing as far as just this person articulately explaining why they love movies, and his books and essays were great. But sometimes he'd have opinions I disagree with, and sometimes you're just like, what's going on today, Roger? And his review of this movie is bizarre because I don't know if he slept through the beginning or went to get popcorn or something, but his review of this movie, he first of all connects it to the second. He's like, they're at the hospital from the last one, which they're not.
What?
And then he says something about, well, Michael Myers isn't in this movie except for he sets himself on fire and then this technician is sifting through his ashes the rest of the movie.
What is happening?
Yes. And so he makes this giant leap of what is happening. He tries to he's like a nerd on Twitter today trying to connect movies that aren't supposed to be connected, right?
Yeah.
He's like,
He's like, my review of Halloween 3, aka my first time trying acid also. I don't know what's going on.
It's an interesting read. Check it out.
Yeah, but that always happens, Eric. I agree. Like, I obviously Ebert is a legend, but sometimes I'm like, he was wrong about this one.
Oh yeah.
I remember when
both-
he really liked Lambada the Forbidden Dance. Was it him? And then Cisco was so mad at him. Like,
I thought it was opposite. I think
was it the opposite?
Yeah, I think it was the opposite of them screaming at each other about Lambada, which is great.
Okay, so then we've got so the dad's dead, and then Ellie shows up, who's the daughter, played by Stacey Nelkin. A lot of credits to her name. TV, few movies, but mostly television, but just like a lot of stuff, 80s.
And
Actually,
she has
and
a
then
creepy
also-
story in her real life.
Ooh,
What's the creepy
According
story?
to Nelkin, Woody Allen's film Manhattan is based on her romantic relationship with the director whom she met when she was 16.
ooh,
So there you go.
wah wah.
He had
and
a
then
bit
she's in
part
this
that got
role
cut.
playing probably a Dane Cook bride's age to Tom Atkins, right? So
who sleeps with her multiple times and then asks her how old she is, by the way.
That is such a weird thing, because I rewatch this movie once a year, similar to Blade Runner, because it's my favorite. And every time that scene comes, it's like, why did they decide to add that line to the screenplay? It's like, let's make it weirder and creepier and have him ask the age. And I think that's just a dumb 80s dude thing. I don't understand it.
It's weird
it's almost
because
responsible to add that to the script, but also it calls more attention to
Right.
the
right,
age
because I
disparity.
didn't assume that she was underage. Clearly there's a
Right.
big age
Right.
gap, but I just thought she's early 20s, which I think is what she was.
But now I think she's under.
But now it makes it weirder, right?
because she doesn't answer him. She's like, "Don't worry, we don't have to talk about this right now."
And this is also around the time, by the way, when the commercial for Halloween comes on, which there's two funny things. I do like, look, it is true that it is an immoral classic, but it is ballsy for John Carpenter to produce a movie that says the immortal classic Halloween on TV tonight. But also that this, because people will bend over backwards. I've literally seen people try to like work this into canon of other Halloween movies. It's like, no, guys, Halloween is a movie in this universe. And some people are like, maybe their movie is based on the true events. I'm like, no.
Okay.
Plus, some pretty apocalyptic things might have happened at the end of this movie. I don't think we can try to link this up with those movies. It's okay.
Yeah. I feel like, well, the fact that it's like the TV airing of Halloween, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, of like waiting for movies to in the 80s to show up on TV, whether edited or with added bonus scenes that you didn't know existed, or just later on with cable, things arriving on HBO and something like that. So this was an event. And at the end of the movie, when Cochran's like, it's got a 43 share, like they're predicting like how much this Halloween airing will happen, because the airing of Halloween is what's going to kill everyone. Right? It is the bait to get everyone to watch the final Silver Shamrock commercial at the end.
Do we think this is a little meta? I know Carpenter didn't write this movie, but because it seemed like he felt a little shackled by Halloween at this point in his career. So was he like,
maybe, yeah.
Here it is, the immortal classic, and it's going to kill your children.
I mean, he was producer, right? I mean, maybe they told Tommy, hey, enter all these meta Easter eggs and fuck it.
Yeah.
Right. And Tommy worked on that movie too, so why not?
Exactly.
Dan and Ellie decide, after visiting her father's store, he had a sort of a novelty store that was selling these masks. They decide to go to the source and to take a road trip together, and which he tells, he can't watch his kids. He's got to go he lies about having a doctor conference. And this is back in the day when you could hang up a payphone and fuck off, and no one can find you until you want to be found.
This is a scene that plays very well at revival screenings, Matt, because you've got middle-aged Tom Atkins, and yes, he's not literally running away with her just to like have an affair. There is something else going on, but lying to his ex-wife that he's running away with this young girl with a 6-pack of beer on top of the payphone. That always gets a great response.
Am I wrong though that she packed like sexy negligee?
Yes,
like she didn't pick that up in town. Like
no, that's what's so funny about these, again, ridiculous depictions of romance, where of course, every woman, did you not know, Matt and Eric, that we always carry lingerie with us wherever we go, even if we are hunting for the possible murderers of our parents, we always carry the sexy lingerie. That's just what it is to be a woman.
Hell yeah. Break glass in case of lingerie emergency. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's funny, Dorina, because I had never seen The Fog until that Tom Atkins fest, which was like 4 years ago. And spoiler alert for the first 20 minutes of The Fog, but in The Fog, Tom Atkins and Jamie Lee Curtis meet at the top of that movie, and she sleeps with him within like 10 minutes. So it was like this strange, like Avatar
This is the Tom Atkins effect, really.
But it's just like these women, but it's so funny because he is such an unlikely leading man anyway, much less the fact that in all these movies, these young women are just throw, like, even in the scene when they first sleep together, where do you want to sleep, Dr. Chalice? That's a dumb question, Miss Cambridge. like you totally want the porn music to come on.
It kind of turns into like softcore porn, actual dialogue, which is what makes it so ridiculous and out of place from this premise of the movie. But I mean, it's similar to Bram Stoker's Dracula, right? Where it's like a beautiful looking movie and it's got all these amazing things, and then it's got cheesy, terrible dialogue in Keanu's British accent, right? It's like you gotta have something that's not good.
Yeah. Oh, we should mention that this we were saying how this was like the last of the original family movies of Halloween. Dean Cundy also shot this movie, and this would be the last one that he would shoot. He did the first 3 in a row.
Yes, legend.
I hadn't seen this movie, obviously. I said, but so I didn't know that they were going to wind up sleeping together, much less multiple times. So I was like, oh, there'll be a flirtation. There'll be something, there'll be back and forth. And maybe they'll kiss, but then something will happen. I didn't know. Yeah. This just turned into like forced roommate fanfic of some sort. Where it's like, oh, I guess there's one bed. Oh no,
Right. And
that was the whole middle part of the movie.
It is funny. They give that tiny, like he's like, well, maybe we should get you a second room, and she's like, that would look suspicious. And then it's like, bumcha, like let's get it on.
But much less suspicious than my having a child bride. Yeah. But yeah, so they go to this town, the super Irish town, and the super Irish motel owner, who's very top of the morning to you, talking up Connell Cochran. And then we learn, as we go through this town that like Dorina, you said, it's a company town, but it's also super like controlled. There are cameras. There's a PA that goes off saying there's a 6 p.m. curfew.
With the voice of Jamie Lee Curtis telling you that the curfew has begun.
Oh, there we go. Okay, that's
authoritarian Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
And then we get another kill in here. And am I correct in that they sort of like with Halloween 4, they kind of added gore where it wasn't originally envisioned to sort of
I don't know if that happened on this one, because we actually kind of skipped over last week how they added gore to 2, and that Carpenter actually directed some reshoots on 2 because they wanted more gore. I don't know if that happened on this one, although
then we get the head rip off of sort of the spray cheese on bread vagrant who he runs into.
The vagrant who made sure to ask for a drink and say, "I ain't got no diseases. Mind if I have a drink?" Which is how I lead all of my requests.
That's how you ask for every drink at Comic-Con.
Right. All right. I said that to you, Dorina, at the party, right?
Yes, that's true. The empanadas were great, though.
That's right.
So we get like a full, like, the MO of these androids. Now there are 2 of them that pinning this guy down, ripping his head off. They don't go for the eyes, but they just go for like whatever whatever they feel in the moment. Like, how should we kill this person? Later on, there'll be a drill involved.
One of the robots is played by Dick Warlock, who played Michael in Halloween 2. He was a stunt coordinator on this movie.
Is he the blonde one?
I think maybe.
Who sort of shut up in the factory too.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so they're basically, and then we've got sort of the buffoons who show up to the motel. And causing him to say it's a zoo out there, which is like the woman next door who's there to buy more masks or to actually talk about her order, which is all fucked up. And then we've got the family of like the top mask seller in the country, and the wife and kid who at that point you're kind of like, oh, this is like more murder fodder. When everyone shows up, it's like, oh, look at all these deaths lining up.
Also, by the way, it is funny, early 80s movies did this a lot, which is the sort of incredibly gratuitous nudity, because I like seeing naked women. I'm cool with that. But it is funny that not only do they have sex scenes, but there is a moment where they cut to her taking a shower or getting out of the shower that is so unneeded as far as like at that moment. We're establishing the neighbor, the woman who's also there about her screwed up order and all that. And then we just cut to her getting out of the shower and a lot of early 80s movies would do that. Like I think I watched Stripes for the first time a couple years ago, and it had the same thing. It's just, you feel like the network, the studio exec being like, and have her do some nudity there,
Totally. It definitely gratuitous, and which is why I at least appreciate that we got the Tom Atkins butt. Because if you're gonna have naked women, it's fine as long as you have naked men for us too.
Yeah. Like, so yeah, he was getting out of bed. They could have either had him wearing pants, which would have been weird, or just panned up, but they didn't. Also, we do know he only brought the clothes he was wearing, because he even mentions, he's like, I guess these clothes can last a few days. So he's smelly. He's not going to sleep in these clothes because he needs them.
He cares more about bringing that 6-pack than change of clothes.
Like he's got smelly old leading man clothes. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, you all packed? He just holds up the beer. Yep, all set.
I'm good.
Road trip. So then basically, after this sort of like nude shower exit, and there's another sex scene, and then was there even one more after that? I can't remember, but at this point, the next door person has gotten basically her face blown off by the button that has malfunctioned, and then a bug crawling out. So our first sort of indication of like what other weird entity is going on.
This is where I think this movie goes to the next level, is that laser firing out of that button, that it's like she is killed by such a crazy way. And, because we've seen a guy get his head ripped off, but it's like physical. It's like 2 weird guys that we don't know are robots yet doing it. But this is a laser in Halloween 3 that fires in someone's face and tears their face open, and a bug crawls out. Yeah. So Matt, what did you think of this turn of events? Because it was your first time watching it.
Thought it was amazing. You
loved it.
I was waiting for these people to die. I didn't know they couldn't all be killed by these robots. So at this point, we just assume they're robots. It's not revealed till later. But Yeah, because I'm wondering what the deal is here. Obviously, there's a pod people aspect going on here. I know there's something wrong with this company and the masks. They're killing people who know what the secret is. We just don't know what it is as a viewer yet.
Yeah.
And now we hear the term misfire. So we know that this button on the mask does something. It did something when it wasn't supposed to. And I also like that as a doctor, when she's being wheeled out full blanket over her face, which is what you do to a dead person, he's like, is she going to be okay? Like, what are you doing?
Well, he rests like a beer on her. And this is, this is where we actually meet Cochran for the first time. I do love the misfire line. And, we should talk about the great Daniel Hurley, who we have already covered movies with him before, because RoboCop 1 and 2, where he was the old man.
Mm-hmm.
Matt and I are huge Twin Peaks fans.
Yeah.
Andrew Packard on that. He was also in The Last Starfighter, which would come out a couple years later,
Directed by
Nick Castle, the original Michael Myers. So a great presence in a lot of classic 80s and early 90s stuff here.
And you can tell he's a Shakespearean actor too, because Shakespearean actors always do a really good job of these kind of messed up villains that are very proper.
Yeah.
Right, when they speak, and which makes, I think, gives them the edge and makes him way scarier to me than something like a Michael Myers.
No, completely. I love his presence. It's like such a cool thing. By the way, I'm glancing at his wiki page, and his son had his own wiki page, and his son, who passed away last year, was the actor who sadly played Chuck Cunningham, Richie's older brother, that they just they did that sitcom thing of we'll just never mention he exists again because Fonzie's so popular. That was his son went upstairs and never came down, which sadly happens.
His son was also in Superman 3, so another movie with laser beams, just 1 year later. So
that was what he insisted on.
Because that's what I thought of when I saw this laser beam. It's a very early 80s Superman 3 type of beam that the technology they had at the time.
And he was on I'm getting lost in Gavin O'Hurley's page. Not only was he on an episode of Twin Peaks, but this is the sweet part. He's in Willow. So Ron Howard years later said, I'm sorry that they wrote you out of our hit show, and gave him a role in Willow.
Oh,
see, Ron Howard, good guy.
This has a happy ending after all.
Yeah.
So Marge next door is dead. Then they've decided they actually need to go basically they meet Cochran. They're going to go to the factory, and they show up and get luck would have it, they get sort of tossed into a tour of the mask making facility that the kid's really excited about. And it's the same 3 masks. The kid's still excited. There's really no variety here. But and this is when we learn that Cochran used to make toys, and
he was the all-time genius of the practical joke.
Yeah, Frank Legend.
Dorina, Matt, which would you most like to have seen on screen? Sticky toilet paper, the dead dwarf gag, or the soft chainsaw?
Ooh,
the dead dwarf gag.
These are the 3 things that guy mentions that he's known for.
Wow. I guess because I don't know what the dead dwarf gag is, that's what I would pick.
That sounds like the most depressing one, even though I want to know what that is. So I'm gonna go soft chainsaw.
Okay, I'm gonna. So we're all represented. I'll say sticky toilet paper, which I think explains itself the most. But
at least you know what you're getting. No surprises there.
And would be the grossest, but
probably.
I kind of feel like they all explain each other, but I still have questions about the dead dwarf Frank.
Well, the soft chainsaw is a weird. I guess the soft chainsaw is just you can't really cut that thing, but yeah. I don't know.
Or you run at someone with it and they think you're going to kill them, but then it's a soft chainsaw.
I want to see a commercial for the dead dwarf gag and how you incorporate it into your daily life.
I hope somebody makes that. You know how with Jordan Peele's Nope, they started doing the old school. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but they did the Gordy's sitcom.
Yeah.
What's it called? The actual intro. I wish they would do commercials for these 3.
That'd be great.
Yes. I mean, because this movie, the cult of this movie has become so much bigger in the past 10, 15 years, there's now merch that never existed for this movie. I mean, you were showing us your masks before we started, Dorina. I have the NECA action figures at Comic-Con I saw The Living doing. So
Nice.
anything is possible now that everything old can be embraced more than it ever has, because people like us grow up and be like, we still love this and we'll pay money.
Yes.
to
And
have
Warner
it.
Brother and Discovery will be like, we don't want the money.
We don't want it.
I don't
We
know if
want
either
a
of you
tax
follow,
write-off.
follow Death by Toys on Instagram or Twitter, where they do things like that. Like they'll make weird toys or action figures out of old movies or horror movies. Like they have Shelley's like long ash cigarette from The Shining, and it's just in an action figure box or something like that. So I feel like they should do that. They should pick out these pranks.
Are they the ones that did the Star Wars Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, but like it's
the
just their
bird-
remains?
maybe.
It sounds up their alley. I looked up the locations for this movie, and most of it was shot in Northern California in this small town where like the factory was a ice cream factory that closed down a few years ago and looks really scary now. It's like all covered in graffiti and stuff. But the bar is over in Pasadena where they shot the first two Halloween movies. So I do need to go over to the bar where early in the movie he's having a drink. And
He's day drinking, and yeah.
Yeah.
So they don't. So the big secret that they find at this factory is they see her dad's car. I don't know why it's being kept around, but it's there so that they know something bad's happening. The guys in suits block them. Then once they return back to the motel, everything goes awry. They can't call out of town. Ellie gets kidnapped because the men actually come after them. They're getting too close to the truth. And it's interesting because obviously at the end of the movie, when he finds her and she doesn't say anything, you can sort of get ahead of the story and say, oh, she's a robot. But I didn't know that once she was kidnapped. So it is weird that her story just really ends here. Where she's kidnapped and that's really the last you see of her.
I mean, because presumably she's killed off screen, but maybe not.
Right. We don't really know. Yeah. Which is why it's one of the best endings.
That's right. That's why they could do a sequel now.
This is when he busts back into the lab and sticks his hands into the honey mustard dip and gets it all over himself. And he knocks the woman's head off, and we get the first reveal of these are robots, and that these are kill machines that he has designed, but also workers, just people who work at his factory.
But also, I mean, Colonel Cochran, when he sees that the head's been knocked off that female robot, says this was a rare piece made in Munich 1785. So it's like we're dealing with this like sect of people that not only have advanced robotics for 1982, but in the 1700s they were making advanced robotics.
Yeah, and he's got a line about how like the robot parts are the easy thing, where the mask and making them look human, is what took time, the harder thing to sort of master. And but yeah, this is when we get the full secret. Dan gets basically kidnapped here. He tries to go in to rescue Ellie. It doesn't work, and he gets it all laid out for him. And that
we also get the Stonehenge returns, and I do like I always appreciate when a movie is like, let's not bother with the explanation. And I do, and we also, because Dan O'Hurley is a great actor, so he can get away with just seeing like, we had a time getting it here. You wouldn't believe how we did it. And that's all an explanation we're going to get for how they got this giant piece of Stonehenge to California.
It is interesting. That's almost like the 1 hour later earlier, which is like,
right.
We didn't need to know how hard it was. I could have bought that a guy who could make an army of robots could get a rock from Stonehenge across the ocean.
Sure.
But it was a time, I guess.
It was.
Yeah. But also once you're seeing lasers come out of the, mask tags, at that point you're you know what movie you're in, right? You're not gonna at that point you're throwing in maybe ancient Celtic freaking magic,
right because this is a movie that is a hat on a hat movie, but I love it for that reason, because it's not just this insidious plan to kill children with mass. It's lasers, and on top of that it's Celtic magic, and it's Stonehenge, and it's just like And robot, that his minions being incredibly lifelike robots is a whole other thing. Right. We could just do that, but that's just a small sub part of the movie, is that he can make these robots.
What a world! What a universe!
The laser beams, though, based on the effects that were available at the time, the laser beams are the magic in a way, right? Because they come out of Stonehenge. It's just to us they look sci-fi because we're used to that, but I feel like that's like the magic. It just
but then the buttons can shoot the laser, so it's like the Stonehenge gives them the power
because they put a little rock in the remember he's got like a little piece of the Stonehenge,
little piece of Stonehenge.
Yeah, that's exactly. You grab a little bit of the Stonehenge rock, and then you add it to the silver shamrock tag, and then you can basically put that anywhere, and that's how the laser comes out. Like that actually makes sense to me. Like if somebody explained it, so that is totally how ancient pagan rituals work.
For sure, and also that they have the technology to trigger these buttons with some signal from the commercial. Like that's a whole other thing too, where it it sets them all off at the same time. And then we've got, so the test subjects are the Lumpkin family, is that their name? Where the kids wearing the mask, and for as far as like disturbing child deaths of the 80s goes, it's pretty hardcore. This mask melting, sort of becoming a rotting pumpkin around his head, and then these bugs and snakes coming out of his face. I don't know what happens to the parents though.
That's like, I guess they're killed Halloween by the snakes and bugs.
Because you see it's one of the grossest scenes to me, because I'm Indiana Jones, I hate snakes, and so when you actually see the giant rattlesnake bite the guy leg, and so you actually see him, and then that's why you eventually see the mom on the floor covered in snakes and bugs. So that was my interpretation of it, that like everything that came out of the kid's mask kills everybody in the room.
Right. Me too, which makes it more apocalyptic. Not that killing all these children wouldn't be bad enough, but that the thing killing them will kill anyone else near them. This isn't just a joke on the children.
But this is this also just a West Coast problem or a US problem?
This is a major this is the Gremlins After Midnight question, because 9 p.m. after Halloween, but at the end of this movie, it's the West Coast. This would have already happened on the East Coast. Right. So for all we know, it's already too late.
But also France is safe. I'm saying it's not a worldwide thing. This is to take down America. That's a good joke. I like it.
Yes. It's a joke on the American children.
Capitalism, man. Use it against us.
Exactly.
And then we've got so basically Dan gets away, and this is something I wasn't expecting, and I guess you can chalk it up to the fact that Halloween is playing on TV. But hearing the original Halloween theme in this movie, I didn't see that coming.
It's funny because it kind of, I realized it did it before Scream did it, which is using the score of Halloween, someone watching Halloween, so that Halloween's creepy music becomes the creepy music to the senior watching.
Like when Randy's watching Halloween.
When Randy's watching Halloween. But that's great. We didn't talk about freaking Dr. Dan here, one of his coolest moves, which is when he throws the mask. He's tied up. His hands are tied.
Oh, that's right.
But he throws the mask perfectly onto the camera.
Yes. Leading man. Remember this. Tom Atkins is a leading man, and therefore he has perfect aim. Yeah. Even when tied up.
It's also kind of a cool, creepy image of him wearing that, like when they put the mask on him and he's sitting in the chair. And sexual.
We also, very quickly, he's called back a few times to, I think her name's Teddy, back at the hospital to check up on. She's like, there's no human remains in these ashes. I think someone's playing a prank.
While Roger Ebert's like, Michael Myers' ashes.
And this is when we basically get confirmation that he is like, she is one of his regular stops on the sort of the Dr. Dan sleep wheel, where it's like, because he's like, you owe me a lot of dinners.
That's right.
But then she gets killed. So the final assassin kill of the movie, where they send a Terminator down to take her out with a drill, and
we don't get to see it.
No, I was very surprised that they didn't cut to some sort of prosthetic.
Although I did like that they did get the move of the punk, like he's drilling, and then you see the silhouette like push down.
Yeah, I did like that too. I just was hoping for the initial kill with the gouging of the eyes. Like I was hoping to see something, because I'm messed up that way.
No, I feel like you're right, that there must have been a story about like they must have run out of money, or like didn't have a prosthetic that worked well for that.
They just needed the drill on like some weird thing that looks like skin for like a second, like going, and then like.
Our big note, if we did a test grading, is like more drill,
more, yeah.
Hire us as consultants.
That's right.
And then so Dr. Dan basically he finds Ellie and they're creeping around, and this is when you know Ellie ain't right because she's not saying anything. And he basically blows up the entire operation of at least future plans, because things, you know, the plan is already set in motion out in the outside world, but he destroys the lab by dropping all these. He sets the commercial off and drops the buttons down so that they all just sort of pop around them. And then the Stonehenge rock gets mad and turns on Cochrane.
I like this in theory. Like I like that him dropping all the buttons, and I definitely like one last great Daniel Hurley moment, which is he slow claps and smiles at Dr. Dan, like well played.
He's in it for the bit.
Yeah, great.
Like this is a good gag.
I do want to know why the buttons don't make them. They just drop and dead. They don't have the snakes and bugs. Their faces aren't blown off.
That's the mask part, right? No,
I don't think so, because the woman in the motel just had the button when she did it.
But I thought all the dudes in the room were robots.
I don't think they're all supposed to be robots. The technician. I mean, I could be wrong. You might be right.
Robots.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah, so that's why I thought that because they were robots, they didn't get affected. Like
your explanation is better than mine. So.
Dorina, there's nothing in the story that tells us that, but I'm with you that I felt like they were. He just surrounded himself with robots on all sides.
And Cochrane like transcends. He gets like hit by the thing, and
maybe he gets somewhere great.
Right. He looks happy.
I think, where do you guys actually think he went? Because there's all kinds of Stonehenge theories on the internet.
I don't know.
Wow.
Do you think he died, or do you think he went somewhere?
Have you guys seen Troll 2 has some Stonehenge stuff in
oh
it?
My god.
I like it to connect to that. Yeah. I like it to all be connected. So and we forgot to mention, Matt, earlier that he says Samhain. He says it correctly.
Yeah, he does.
Because we were talking, Dorina, how in Halloween 2 Loomis, Donald Pleasant, says Samhain, which is how it looks, but that's not how you're supposed to say it. But in this movie, there was a
band called I think they pronounced it Samhain too, like a metal band in the 80s.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's how I would produce it, because I read which I would pronounce it because I read everything in Spanish. So I'm like Samhain, that makes sense to me. But then I learned the correct pronunciation. But going back to Eric's earlier point about why this is an actual Halloween movie, right? Because Cochrane actually explains, like, you know, he wants to resurrect the ancient pagan rituals of like sacrificing children during the age of Samhain, and you know, it's so Halloween-y compared to the Michael Myers movie. So, speaking of the Michael Myers movie, I heard a theory, which is a ridiculous theory that I thought was fun, that Cochrane actually ends up in the 2018 Halloween universe, and that's why we see the Halloween 3 masks all over that franchise.
Well, people, like I said, people do want to connect them, so I'll go with that. You know, I'm totally
having seen that movie obviously before I saw this movie, I still was familiar enough with the mask to be like, look at that Easter egg. Yeah, so
right.
But yeah, I would like it bring that character back, obviously, in a different way, either through technology or recasting. But yeah, that would be really fun. That's how Halloween ends, guys. That's what's going to happen. It's all Silver Shamrock. Oh, that would be amazing.
He comes
and then
I would forgive them for Halloween Kills.
No, that would be the most amazing left turn. It won't happen, and now I'm mad about it, that it won't happen. Dan basically destroys this factory and gets back to this gas station from the beginning. He doesn't say 1 hour later, but he gets there.
Same attendant from the beginning. It's there.
Same attendant guy. And Dan calls TV. I don't know who he calls.
He calls Captain TV.
He calls Big Television. And he's like, take these commercials
President Television.
It's one number for all the stations.
Mr. What was it? President Business or in the
Lego movie? From Lego Movie. Yeah.
Oh, right.
He calls President Television.
Yeah, that controls all 3 channels. But I guess only controls 2. I don't know. I don't know if he made previous calls to this one, but one ad still works, and it ends with a way that I really do like horror movies to end.
Me too.
Not always, but a lot of times, which is like the gotcha ending, which is like, how is this movie going to end, happily or triumphant, or is it going to be like the winner, the protagonist wins like 95% of the battle, but not that final moment. And
Right.
like it's a Pyrrhic victory in some way, and so we're left just wondering. We don't get to see the cataclysm or the aftermath of what's happened here. We can imagine it because we've seen what happened to that family.
I mean, maybe it's stop it, and then it turns off. And
and they're like, thank you.
It's like in the Inception ending, basically.
Right.
But look, we get Tom Atkins screaming, his most prolific scream, I think, in movie history of "Make it stop!"
It's so good.
Come on. The best
I don't know, Matt. I mean, maybe by osmosis, that has been like memed, and there's like people have done like illustrations of him screaming. Like
I know the scene. I didn't know it closed out the movie. So
okay,
I knew it was there. I didn't know it was the actual sort of stinger at the end, and also with the implications because his ex-wife got their kids the silver shamrock masks that his kids are dead too. If they were watching that channel, but yeah,
right. So Matt, you were surprised then that's how it ended?
No, I wasn't surprised. I was unsure because horror movies can kind of go either way. And I liked that it ended like that. I really did like the open ending and sort of the leaning towards the apocalypse ending, like movies like Drag Me to Hell or something like that, where you get this far and then you just can't make it across the finish line. It just doesn't work.
Right.
So I
which
like
is frustrating, but great.
Yeah, but it's cool. It's cool. It also guarantees almost that even though this was meant to kick off an anthology franchise, that like nothing more can really happen in this universe, and the next one will just be a universe where Halloween 3 is playing on TV.
Well, I guess if something more happened, it would be like The Leftovers. It'd be like
what happened to all the somber, kids and parents in California. Yeah,
a somber look at this.
Everyone who watched Channel 7 that night.
Halloween 3.
Yeah, that Halloween 3 aftermath. And we kind of skipped over, but yeah, like the Ellie is a robot. He fights Ellie the robot. And disarms her, but like you mentioned earlier, Matt, the fact that we never find out what really happened to Ellie. So she's
she came at him like because the arm gets her, and then the body runs at him, like every little part of her that is sort of like separated goes after him. And I appreciated that. It was a good fight at the end as sort of the final boss, I guess. And,
right.
Not his young lover.
Yeah, not his young lover, like coming out.
Hopefully not a little too young. It's funny because I was watching when I was rewatching it recently with my husband, who had only seen it once when we went to that Beyonce screening. He was saying he didn't remember it, and so when he's like, Ellie hasn't spoken at all. She hasn't had a line, and then that's as soon as he said that, she attacks Daniel's character.
Oh,
so
he realized it right at the perfect time.
Yeah.
I was like, there you go. Now
That's
you know
like
your answer.
Yeah, the Tommy Wallace is like he got him wrapped around his finger there.
So Dorina, aside from the first movie, this is your favorite Halloween movie, like a Halloween franchise?
From the franchise? Yeah, I love the first one. The first one is so fun. It's classic. It's I think groundbreaking for the time. And so many horror movies try to copy Carpenter's original Halloween. But this is just, I think, such a unique movie that obviously is not a Michael Myers movie, that similar to other John Carpenter movies that I love, like Prince of Darkness, for example. I feel like it could actually be remade into a really good movie nowadays because the premise is so excellent. Like I would love to see, it remade by somebody like Jordan Peele. Right. Like, I think it would be so much fun because it's just such an excellent movie. And similar to other like John Carpenter movies, we don't really get to see kids die in movies nowadays. And I'm not saying I want to see kids die, but like, look, the little kid that dies in this movie is a dick. So it's fine.
Yeah, he's kind of like Augustus Gloop, like in the kids that may have died in Willy Wonka's factory. Like,
exactly.
It's kind of like, and remember, Eric, I don't know if you remember the Peter Hyams movie Relic.
Oh, not only do I remember the Relic, but I just saw the trailer for the Relic at the New Beverly because it's going to be playing there in a few weeks.
I remember because that was a 90s movie that killed kids. And I was like, whoa. I was like, that was something I hadn't seen in a while.
The Blob 1988, I remember.
Yes.
Shocking me
oh, man.
As well.
That's a great movie.
You know, and it's interesting, Dorina, what you said, like Jordan Peele, like one of the things that I really like that he's brought to the forefront is something that we don't see too often, which is like sci-fi horror, which is like
Right.
Mad Doctor horror, like laboratory horror and or aliens or something like that, because he's such
Yeah.
a Twilight Zone fan that like he does monster movies and he does like evil lab experiment movies, but we're so used to slashers or occult or monsters or something like that, and so it's always feels fresh and new when he's doing it. So that him like dream remaking this movie with him feels right because of all those elements that are present here,
Totally. But yeah, definitely like bring back Reanimator, right? Like not that movie, don't remake it. I love that movie, but I just mean bring back
That
movies
vibe.
like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like because everything's being rebooted. Everybody's like, well, we have the slasher properties that are very successful, but I love it when people bring unique stuff, and we have all this amazing art house horror now. Like I'm a huge Ari Aster fan. Like Midsommar is one of my favorite all-time horror movies. Those movies are great, but I kind of miss like the quirky vibes of a Reanimator, of a Season of the Witch, where they're just going all out ridiculous and with these premises. And Season of the Witch itself, as I said earlier, is such a relevant premise to nowadays of the villains are these giant corporations, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's what to our time, it's one of the most relevant horror movies, I think, even though it's from the 80s.
It's interesting that I was thinking back on how Carpenter, probably operating at the height of his powers in 1982, only to be humbled because this movie opened like 4 months after The Thing came out, and huge bomb. The Thing was a huge bomb, bad reviews. This movie comes out, is a relative box office wise because it costs a lot less. It's not a quote unquote bomb, but a box office disappointment, also terribly reviewed. So both movies go on, like The Thing ends up being reevaluated as like Carpenter, some people say it's even better than Halloween, is like one of his very best. This movie becomes a huge cult favorite. So it is just funny, like you never know, because I'm sure he came out in 1982 probably feeling pretty despondent, that things had not gone well with these two movies. But now they play all the time at the New Beverly.
Yeah.
I
mean, I think The Thing is the other than The Shining, it's the best horror movie ever made.
The Thing is
I'm
so
seeing
good.
The Thing on Tuesday at Alamo. Yeah.
I'm going to see The Thing at the New Beverly in a couple weeks.
I saw it a few weeks ago at the Arrow. Look at us
that,
nerds.
Things. Speaking of reboots, gratuitous nudity, and Tom Atkins, he was in the My Bloody Valentine 3D.
He was.
No
reboot
way.
From the aughts. Yeah, he was the sheriff in that.
Yeah, those guys have used him a couple times and some other stuff they've made too. Also, the great thing about Halloween 3 eventually, because again, when this movie came out, people were so angry about it, like, just the audacity that didn't have Michael. And so I didn't watch it again. As I was watching all the other Halloween movies, I never even bothered with this one, except for those little tiny bits as a kid, because everyone's like, that's terrible and doesn't have Michael in it. But then time moves on and people are like, this is a really fun movie in its own right. And it's also funny to see that not only have the recent Halloween movies done their little Easter eggs to it, but then you get filmmakers and creators who grew up with it who really appreciate it. And The Guest has this great little Easter egg for Halloween 3 with the giant the masks in the background at the finale at the Halloween thing at the gym.
At the gym, yeah.
But then one of my favorite crazy Easter eggs on Mr. Robot, which if people didn't watch Mr. Robot, they'd probably be surprised about how many deep cut nerdy things were in that show, because Sam Esmail, as much as he was doing like a cerebral, like edgy show, he also just grew up with the same shit we all did. And he'll pick a song from Bill and Ted because it's a song from Bill and Ted.
Right.
And so I don't know if you watched that show, Dorina.
Yes.
But did you catch like that episode where he's like looking at computer files, sneaking into something, he's hacking, and it says, and there's a bunch of files on screen, but one of them says Silver Shamrock.
No way.
He clicks in and the name Connell Cochran has a file too. So he did like a double.
Do you know what season it is?
I think it was the final season.
No, I gotta rewatch that because I only watched that once. But yeah,
I
mean, you can totally.
I'll find it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I would love to see that because I missed that. That's amazing. But yeah, you can totally tell Sam is a huge fan like us. Like, I mean, the initial season 1 of Mr. Robot looks like Stanley Kubrick filmed it.
Right.
Like it's incredible cinematography. Yeah, it's a really good show.
It's a great show, and I lost it when he played that song from Bill and Ted because I had that soundtrack. But then, yeah,
what did he play? Two Nights Are Better Than One. What did he play?
No, In time we'll be dancing
Okay,
in the streets the one that when they go to the future and everyone's air guitaring with them.
We need Bill and Ted karaoke now.
Oh my god, definitely. But yeah, Connell Cochran is part of the Mr. Robot
Eric,
universe.
you know who, my phone's usually not, doesn't have its sound on. So like ringtones are kind of like a thing in the past for everyone, even though they exist. But you know what song plays when you call me, Eric, right?
You told me this, but I forget.
God Gave Rock and Roll to Us. But
Nice. For
Nice.
Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Yeah.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Well, Dorina, any final thoughts on Halloween 3 Season of the Witch?
This movie is still underrated. I know it's a cult classic, but people should watch it if you haven't seen it, or if you think you saw it like a long time ago and you're like, oh, this is no Michael Myers, I don't care. Please rewatch it. It's so fun. It's such a fun movie. Like, I watch it every year for that reason, even with the stupid romance. And I know if you get uncomfortable with the sexism, you get to see Tom Atkins' butt. I will
Atkins
continue
butt.
saying that. It's got the best, one of the best, if not the best, John Carpenter, Alan Howarth soundtrack. Like, it's one of the coolest soundtracks that everybody that does modern horror scores nowadays tries to copy that synth sound. So it's got so many things going for it. Highly recommend. Go watch it.
No, it's a great point about the score, because I think we talked a little bit about this, Matt, as we were talking about the first two, but it's like Carpenter's scores in general, of course, are very memorable and iconic and influential. But as they move further into the 80s and they really move into that synth thing, by Halloween 3, you're getting the kind of score that like Stranger Things is directly riffing off of.
Oh, completely. That's when people are like, oh, what's the Survivor that did Stranger Things? I forget the name of the dudes that composed the score, but but it's good. But it's basically Chariot of Pumpkins, right? Like, it's totally going back to that era. It's just so great and underrated, I think. As much as obviously the original Michael Myers score is iconic, this is still my favorite.
Yep.
I like that people were telling you, Eric, to stay away from this film because it sucks and it doesn't have Michael Myers in it. But then eventually Halloween movies that sucked and had Michael Myers in it started coming.
Don't worry, guys.
Evil dies tonight.
We'll get plenty as our journey continues. That's very true. Dorina, where can people find you on the interwebs?
Nowhere. I'm kidding. No, I've been using social media less and less. But
what? But it's so great. It helps people. It's just positive.
Look, I think
everyone.
Twitter is the best app. It has destroyed the oligarchy before our eyes, and that's great to see that the politicians and the billionaires are idiots. But it's still, I think, is also a disease. So there's good and bad to it. So I am not on there as much, but if you want to find me, I am Dorina La Bruja, which is just Dorina La Bruja. It's the Dorina the Witch on Twitter, on Instagram. And then I am on The World Girls all the time. So check out The World Girls on YouTube. We are also on the Instagrams, on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. And then we have our podcast, Bitch Out of Water, on all platforms, Spotify, Apple. Go check it out. We do all kinds of weird things. So I'm sure you'll find something you like.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
kids.
Thanks, Dorina. This has been awesome. I'm very happy I like this movie. Like I'd heard good culty things, so this was a treat. And that was Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Thanks again to Dorina for coming in and chatting with us about that movie. First time for me, and I'm glad I did it. Good stuff. And we've got an update on the HBO Max situation, the Warner's Discovery Plus situation, insofar as they had their quarterly earnings call with a lot of rhetoric tossed about it. Eric, any takeaways from this?
Yeah, I mean, just there was no huge seismic thing that came out of this. The only thing I was really expecting, because I wasn't expecting them on this call to be like, we're canceling all these shows you love, or we're firing all these people. These things all
say
could
that
happen.
on a phone call.
No. The thing that I thought they might give more on, and at first it seemed like they were going to give nothing on, was the merger of Discovery Plus and HBO Max and where they're at. Because there was even rumors flying this week that like HBO Max will be absorbed into Discovery Plus, not vice versa like we expected. And at first, all they were saying is we're going to merge them, which we already have known for 6 months. They did eventually give us a summer 2023 date for the US, with the rest of the world rolling out after for that merger. They pointedly did not give us a name for what the new service will be. Will it stay HBO Max? Will it stay Discovery Plus? Will it be a brand new name? So that wasn't there. And then they were asked directly. There was a Q&A section, and that's when Batgirl came up and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's like, first of all, it was like, oh, we
did
don't
anyone like ask or hold them accountable for like all the work that went into that like
no
the hard work and the creative people who put their heart and soul into a project?
And I wouldn't think they would on this, because it's not like press are asking questions. I don't think as much as like
stock
investor,
shareholders and trusts and
but someone did ask about that, and they just said something about, we don't want to release something we don't fully believe in, which is kind of a shitty thing to say, but just it was just. And the other thing they said, again, this goes back to what we talked about earlier, which is he talked a lot about how we don't see the economic, we don't see the economics in having big budget movies straight to streaming, which I said I agree with. I understand it never seems sustainable that they'd spend, Netflix spends $200 million, but that HBO Max was spending better part of $100 million on a movie, which is why I get them stopping that. It's we're just gonna fucking dump, we're not even gonna release these things. That's the crazy.
Yeah, it's one thing not to greenlight things for that. It's another thing to take the thing. I think that's what we talked about at the top of the episode, which is like the best move forward if you are doing a paradigm shift in the way that your streaming service is working and the way you're looking at how to present movies is to release what you already have.
Yeah.
Don't vanish them. Don't like tie them up in a sack and dump them in the desert. And then going forward, you change your release model instead of like burying the hopes and dreams of so many people. Like, who wants to work for them now?
No, I know. And it's scary because it's like, it's scary that it happened at all. And besides Batgirl and the Scooby-Doo movie, it looks like the House Party remake has been shelved and maybe forever.
That was supposed to come out like this summer. Yeah.
And then people were like, what does this mean for Evil Dead Rise, which was made for HBO Max? We don't know. Like, it's like there's just like there's just a lot of unknowns here.
There was another movie too, but the other thing is kind of like, man, going into contracts now, because how like there was like pilot agreements where it's like, if you don't pick us up, I get a penalty, you pay me.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of the same thing where it's like, if you don't release this movie, we all get paid extra. Like,
right. I mean,
fine happening for not releasing my movie.
Right. I mean, the Scarlett Johansson lawsuit, had already changed things as far as making sure, and all the money that HBO Max ended up having to pay out to all their stars for all those movies moving direct to streaming or day and date. Already that every contract now has to account for, like, if we don't release this theatrically, what that means. Now they're gonna have to do if we never release it. That's gonna be
now
like,
if we just
extra.
completely pretend it didn't exist.
Yeah.
All right. Next week we are doing Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers.
A title that is wonderfully blatant in the "don't worry, the thing you were mad about us not having last time."
But also, considering that Halloween 2 was the same night, it is his return to Haddonfield, return to the franchise, and return to the town. It's a movie that Eric and I both very much enjoy, so it is a standout for us.
But we might not. I hope that doesn't lead you people to be disappointed. But if
I don't
never
care
seen
what
it before.
I don't care. Yeah, they'll get, look.
Can I snark for a second that
they get worse after it. So yeah.
I mean, there's I forget one thing we can just snark on for a second is that them feeling like we're in a Groundhog Day loop by them saying, we want to find our Kevin Feige and we want a 10-year plan for DC movies, which is just a wonderful.
Sounds like starting over
every couple of years,
because they said it like 6 years ago or something.
They've said it a million times, and it's.
But the trouble is, they had a Feige, and then the Feige didn't work. You know what I mean? Or they had a Jon Favreau at least. That's
the implicit thing is we want to find someone who will do a great job actually making these things like people like the movies and they're successful, and we keep going.
The Batman is great. Can we just leap off of the Batman?
They've made multiple great movies, and they've made bad ones too. It's
All right, until next time, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shakma.